Alright. Karibuni tena ndani ya One Mic Show. Na ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa zile za kusisimua, muziki wa kata viungo na kindumbundumbo cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington DC. We will shortly be going live on YouTube, so call all your YouTube friends. And please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at One Mic Show, rather at the One Mic Show. And then follow us on Instagram at One Mic Show. We are also taking calls tonight. So please record the number 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Remember to save that number. Now later tonight in the social hour, we'll talk about a possible 15% withholding tax on digital content creators in Kenya. Are you a content creator making money on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or any other digital platform? Want you to stay tuned to find out if the government will be raiding your M-Pesa or bank account. Na bila kusahau, tapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ Omosh Fire, na tutadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Och, jezi yake nambari 7 mgongoni, akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, actually, this hour we'll be speaking about a new 3% housing tax in Kenya. We'll also talk about how owners of digital assets such as crypto and NFTs will be taxed. We'll then try to find out if the diaspora has any say on the finance bill and the new tax policies being unveiled in Kenya. So I want you to stay tuned for that. And I'm your co-host and producer, Ali Badawi. It's Friday the 12th of May, and we are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Please remember to subscribe to our One Mic Show YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at One Mic Show. On panel with me tonight is our producer Mubelo Bandio. Sports anchor Mika Och will be joining us via Zoom, and our resident DJ Omosh Fire will be live on the decks. Now, Mr. One Mic is absent with apologies tonight, and we are gonna get started right away because we have so much to cover. Now, we all know that the economic situation in Kenya has lately been having a big effect on diaspora pocketbooks. Now, a sustained high inflation and a shilling that has been falling fast against the dollar has left most Kenyans in a financial conundrum and struggling to make ends meet. Now, the new proposed Finance Bill 2023 has led to a cocktail of reactions following proposed increases in income, investment, and consumption taxes. And on the show tonight, we are looking to have a discussion on how provisions of the Finance Bill 2023 may affect Kenyans living in the diaspora. We don't have an expert in studio tonight, but want to hear from our audience on how your relatives back home are telling you, rather what your relatives back home are telling you regarding the current situation. We also want to know if your remittances have changed based on the tough economic situation back in Kenya. You know, like, how's your bank account? How's your Sendwave doing? How's your Western Union doing? How's your Nala doing? How's your whatever app you use to send money back home? How is it doing currently? Because we know the situation back home has not been so good economically. And the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We want to hear from you today, but you can start dropping a comment on Facebook and YouTube to tell us how you feel about the provisions of the 2023 finance bill. And I want to start by welcoming our listeners. I see, Joseph Francis is already here. Joseph Francis, karibu sana. Joseph Francis anasema karibuni wazee. Anajita Francis Mwangi from Baltimore, Maryland. Lakini sisi si wazee, but anyway, tumeitwa wazee hapo, but ni sawa tu. Then I can also see Slay Odwar is already in the building. Washeke Ndirangu kama kawaida yuko pale. Brown Sugar, Sally Jones, karibu sana. And Brown Sugar, maybe you can tell us about Atlanta. We saw Ferdinand Omanyala meeting Kenyans there. So talk to us about that. We're going to talk about that later in the show. So that was very good. And Slay anasema happy to be here. Steven Bati, karibu sana. Anasema good evening, Sambaza podcast is here. Happy belated birthday to Mika. Yes, we missed the show last week because it was Mika's birthday. We were celebrating. He finally turned 30 years old. Mika is finally in his 30s. He can come back and confirm or deny that, but we're celebrating his 30th birthday last week. Na sijui kama ni kweli amefika miaka 30 ama sijui kama ni uongo, but yeye mwenyewe atathibitisha hapa ndani ya show. He's been 30 for the last 5 years. Okay, sawa. You know, but even if he's at least we'll say he's in his 30, hata kama ni 30 teens, hata kama ni 30, you know, 3013, 3012, 3010, hiyo ni sawa hiyo yote. But karibu sana. Mika will tell you all about his birthday. I also want to welcome Afro-Jamaican. Afro-Jamaican is in the building. Karibu sana. And everybody else who's also tuned in. We're going to be talking about the Finance Bill 2023, where a lot of things were covered, and we're specifically looking at how this has affected people in the diaspora. A lot of times when these laws are being discussed, when they're being passed, a lot of people think that this is just a Kenyan thing and it's affecting people in Kenya. But when you review the 159 pages, it was 159 pages long, you will notice there's a few provisions here and there that are affecting Kenyans living in the diaspora. And one thing that I really like about what has happened with this regime, in as far as discussions are concerned, Kenyans are getting to a point where they're now discussing. It's not about, you know, like who has more followers or who did a bigger political rally. Kenyans are now getting to the nitty-gritty of how are these laws gonna affect me. You know, like this finance bill is being passed. A lot of content in the finance bill has repercussions on pocketbooks, on taxes on income, taxes on consumption. I think they're called excise taxes in Kenya. And then there's a value-added tax. There's all kinds of different. There's taxes on investments. You know, if you have investments in Kenya, we're talking even digital assets, cryptocurrencies, NFT, zote ziko ndani, hakuna aliyesazwa. You know, there was discussions on residential income tax being increased, or rather income tax for landlords rather being reduced or increased. We're going to discuss that. And then we have income tax for people earning over 500,000 shillings a month. There's a housing levy 3%, housing levy 3%, employer and employee for housing fund. And then we have value added tax. There's something called zero rating, and then there's an 8% one, there's a 16% one. Those are things that we're also trying to understand through the financial bill. There's a value added tax on exported services. As you know, Kenya is a service hub, so there's a lot of multinational companies that come to Kenya to offer services within the region. You know, there's a tax that's assessed to those services that are considered that are being exported from Kenya. There's gaming and betting. Watu wa kamari, you know, sisi unajua si Waislamu tuliharamishiwa kamari, kwa hivyo hiyo does not affect us. But watu wa kamari, watu wa sports pesa, watu wa, you know, like when there's Premier League games, unaambiwa weka shilingi 100 hapa, predict scores ya these 3 games, ikiwa yote correct utapata 5,000. You know, weka 200 hapa, predict kama ni win ama ni draw na nini. So now there's a way in which the taxing of the winnings is being redefined. We're going to talk about that. Digital content creators are YouTubers, TikTokers, Facebookers, Instagrammers, Yahooers, Gmailers. I don't think Yahooers and Gmailers are included, but if you're a content creator, pia nyinyi hamkusazwa. There's a withholding tax. Digital assets, I think we mentioned that. Cryptocurrency, NFT, mulikuwa mnajiona wajanja, nyote mko ndani, mmekamatwa, kila mtu ndani. Watu wa cryptocurrency ndani, digital content creators ndani, watu wa betting ndani, income tax ndani, VAT ndani, landlords ndani, Airbnb owners ndani, hakuna aliyesazwa. I want to welcome again the listeners. Washeke hapa anasema, I am for taxes, but sustainable taxes. Hizi za Kenya are overkill to add insult to injury. The money ends up in the pocket of politicians. Na Sleo Dora anambia nikuwe mpole sana. Hapa sitakuwa mpole because I will have a conversation on how this is directly affecting your bank accounts and pocketbooks here in the diaspora, because najua wengi wenyu mnapenda kujifanya mimi hii kitu ni affect, mimi niko hapa Texas, mimi niko tax exempt nini. Hizo vitu za Kenya zini affect. We will discuss how this affects you. At this point, I want to welcome on panel with me tonight DJ Moshfire. We have a thin panel tonight, as I told you earlier. One mic is absent with apologies. So I have...
Did he apologize?
With or without?
Let's give him some credit. He apologized last minute, but alikiuka kanuni za show, ambayo inasema alikiuka kanuni za show ambayo inasema unafaa kutuambia by Wednesday. But yeye alikuja last minute.
Ebu fafanue hiyo Kenuka, because I think
he went against the policies of the show.
Tell Slay. Tell Slay.
Okay, sawa Slay amesikia. But karibu sana DJ Moshfar. How are you doing today?
I'm still recovering from birthday celebrations.
Okay, na naona uko na shati ya Qatar ya World Cup. Hizi ndo zile ziko 80% discount ama nini? Mbona time ya Qatar hukuja nayo?
Unajua kuna zile unanunua ikiwa World Cup ilikuwa. Yeah, as in I bought it during World Cup.
Okay.
And then unaeka. Unatoa.
Akiba
haiozi. Unatoa at the right time. So unaona vile imebling.
Imekubali?
Yes.
Kabisa imekubali.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we were in Qatar during the World Cup, for those who were asking.
Okay. Sawa. Okay.
Yes.
Sawa.
But do I say? No, we were there. That's how we got the shot. Wewe unayo.
Okay. Huyu I think
kwenda huyu jamani wa sukari
Kagera Sugar.
Yes.
Kagera Sugar ndo ako na.
Maybe anaweza toa kwanza, in fact si amerudi juzi kutoka Bongo, pengine na zingine alituletea.
We don't know. We are yet to find out. Okay. You know, the first time tumemwona tangu arudi kutoka Bongo, maybe atatueleza huko Bongo kama pia watu wa gaming and betting, kama watu wa Safi Bets kama pia wanakuwa tax ndani, digital content creators ndani, digital assets owners ndani,
Wasafi
VAT
TV
ndani, income tax ndani, landlords ndani, Airbnb owners ndani. Omoshfire, what are your thoughts about these taxes that are being assessed on Kenyans?
Okay, let's just say that as a nation, anywhere where we are losing taxes, or where potentially there's basically the way it's supposed to work is that where there's income being generated, there's supposed to be tax paid.
Yes.
You know, and if we go back to those days, or when they say, what is it, that thing about Caesar? Pay Caesar his dues, or whatever. Anyway, there's like a saying over there. But the whole point of it is that you're supposed to pay taxes. I am all for it. The issue now is, how are these taxes either being enforced, put in play, and then once they have derived the monies, where are these monies being directed to? Because they've already pangad for these monies already.
Yeah.
From what we are seeing in the papers now, whether it's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors, we don't know. But this money they've already said, okay, this financial, in fact, we barely made it out of financial bill of 2022, and 2023 ndio hii imekuja, and it came with
fire and fury.
It's like somebody just took a gun and decided to start scattering, and they said, okay, wherever the bullets land, those are the people who get killed. That's basically my analogy on this whole thing. Now, if they say that they want to do these taxes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, my question for one, like let's say something like digital content. How do you tax the digital content? Because the person who's paying the digital content creator is not in the country. So are they then supposed to say that they, as the payer, hypothetically, say even YouTube, right?
Yes.
Are they supposed to say, is YouTube supposed to say, okay, because you live in Kenya, we will pay you minus X, and then we'll take this money and send it to KRA or to Exchequer or whatever it is who's supposed to collect? Or how does that work?
Now, that's an interesting question. And while I was doing my research, I came across this very beautiful interview on NTV where Julian Samboko of Business Redefined had a panel of tax experts. So there was no politics being discussed, no names being mentioned. It was just the content of the bill, and it was very beautiful. Because I was wondering the same thing. And how they explained is there's something called a withholding tax.
Okay.
Of course, when you're offering digital content, there's someone from outside of Kenya who's paying you, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, or whatever platform you're using, whether it's Facebook, there's someone who's paying you.
Understood.
Now, with what they want to do right now, they want to introduce something that's called a withholding tax. A withholding tax is kind of like what's held on your paycheck. You know, like when you get paid here, there's a certain tax that your employer that directly remits to the federal government,
whatever jurisdiction,
or whatever
you are
jurisdiction,
in, yes.
state,
based upon whatever predetermined
yes.
amounts. Yes.
So it's kind of a similar thing. If this law is passed, all these entities that are paying Kenya digital content creators, at the point of which they're paying, so this withholding tax is actually 15%, which is very high.
That's very high.
Yeah, it's very high. So what happens is that if your payment is 10,000 shillings, they will take 15% of that 1,500 shillings, and that will go directly to the government. Now, from my understanding, the digital content creator will not necessarily pay the full 1,500 shillings. And here I stand corrected. You know, I'm not 100% sure. But upon filing taxes, so this is a way of, you know, like getting those people who are digital content creators
to file.
Because you don't know who they are.
So you actually know what they made, and then
exactly
you can then tax them accordingly.
You can tax them accordingly, because at the moment, if you're a digital content creator in Wargadud and Google is paying you, the government doesn't know that because Google is paying you direct. But now the act of Google remitting 15% of your earnings to the government, so the government knows there's a guy in Wargadud or Nyakemincha who's creating content, and this is how much he earned through this content. It's a way of roping people in, and I believe Mika is also live with us on Zoom.
So here's my question.
Yes, before we go to Mika jitayarishe.
Digital content creators earn income in a digital space.
Yes.
So who is supposed to police the digital space?
So now there'll be no one policing because
no, in this case they are.
No, because clearly big companies,
because they're basing the digital space, they're basing your digital space upon where you, the receiver, is physically in terms of taxes.
Yes, because the thing is, what they know is that Google, for example, will not only reveal, you know, like how much they paid you.
Correct.
They will also reveal where you are. You know, because this money is going to the government.
Possibly, if you're paying into my electronic wallet.
No, it's not possibly. This is tax law.
I guess you can find me that way, because how I don't know how they pay.
Because this is now tax law.
Okay.
You know, now Google can do whatever. They have to comply with the tax laws in Kenya.
For whatever the jurisdiction is, where they're releasing the money.
So unless Google decides to collude, which they have no incentive to do so,
correct, with
content creators, Google, Facebook, or any other digital platform,
or I can open an account in Stato and tell them put it in my Stato account.
So Google knows where you're located.
Yeah, but I can tell you where I want you to pay the money.
You can say where you want them to pay, but I think this is a technical issue. That
correct, and that's why I'm coming. That's why I'm saying what.
You also
go ahead,
it's quite easy for somebody proposing a law and say that I want to tax content creators, but then you also have to consider what were the investment agreement and the bilateral the trade tax agreement for such a company like Google to come to work in Kenya. So it's not so straightforward just because it's tax law that it's going to be able to come in. Now you see a company like Microsoft that has offices and has hired people in Kenya, it's easy for them to withhold. But now when you, as Omosha said, when it comes to content creators, it's, yes, you can say that the geolocation of where the videos of this person are done are in Kenya, but then somebody like Dave Money lives in Canada. It's considered a Canadian. So you cannot just use geolocation and say that you're going to tax him because he's Kenyan, because no, he's a Canadian who comes to Kenya, stays in Kenya, makes content, goes to Canada, but makes money from content made in Kenya. You have to find ways of of coming up on how to tax, I think. So the whole tax act, when you hear experts expounding on it and even look on it, it has some good thoughts, but it's just going to fail. Like it failed before. And most of it is actually things that were talked about in previous tax bills that have gone to parliament. Now, the issue is that I don't believe we have a parliament that is going to fail this tax, especially since the government is broke and the terminologies on this tax bill are like, we want money now. Why? That's why they're insisting on that withholding. And them wanting for you to withhold that money in 24 hours, which I don't know which business has such good accountants that that the revenue you make today, by tomorrow you pay taxes on it to the government. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's. I think people are more concerned about the numbers and how the taxes are going to be, instead of being concerned on this is the true test to your legislature. Because just give me a company that you know can do its accounts receivables in a day, balance its books, and pay taxes the next day.
Yes, I actually agree with you, Mika. That 24-hour remittance is not only unreasonable, but it's also illegal. You know, like they're trying to. I think they're trying to entrench it in law. So there's a tax law that has, you know, like a deadline, a monthly deadline, when businesses that have been collecting certain kinds of taxes that have to remit it. You know, here in the U.S., I think different jurisdictions have different deadlines, and here in the U.S. it's complicated because when you're taking payments, like the company I work for, we assess sales tax on, I think, up to 36 states. So we have an accountant who is reviewing millions of dollars worth of sales taxes paid and what's going towards state. There's some states that require that remittance to be done monthly. There's some states that I think require it quarterly. Yeah. There's some that go up to 6 months, and I think there's a few exceptions that that will allow you to do it once a year. And it's very complicated. It's very expensive. It's a task that requires work. And the one other thing that I think also a lot of service providers don't like about collection of taxes is that through the payment processing machine, let's say like you purchased goods worth $10,000 and there's a 6% Maryland tax, that's $10,600, which was paid for by a credit card. The credit card has a transaction fee. So when you're paying the transaction fee, you're not paying the transaction fee on the $10,000, you're paying a transaction fee on $10,600. So all those millions of taxes that you collect, there's actually a fee that you're paying on them. And I believe it's the same thing in Kenya. You know, like whatever payment processors they're using to collect these payments, whether it's M-Pesa or whatever other form of payment they're using, there's a processing fee. And then now adding that logistical, technical nightmare of having to remit it within 24 hours. That's just unreasonable.
Lasi hivyo kuna mtu atatoka na bakora.
Yeah, that's just unreasonable. It's just, I think it's also showing how our situation in Kenya currently is so desperate. So the government wants money and they want it now. I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned in to the One Mic Show. Want to welcome up Esther Mulusa. And Esther Mulusa is saying you're paying entity like the bank account or M-Pesa must be alerted in the case of digital content. Angie Omolo Lungaho, karibu sana. And then Afro Jamaica anasema only Airbnb will play ball with government. So landlords will have to pay, but content creators will be paying twice. Esther Mulusa anasema digital content creators in the US also pay taxes, which is very true. So this is not anything unusual and in so many other jurisdictions. And then Stephen Bati anasema, so since some content creators are dual citizens, how will they factor that in? Pale One Mic Show, for example. I think, you know, like these big companies have a system in which they determine where the taxes are going, because they will not remit taxes in two different places. For example, the One Mic Show, I think the KRA might be watching us right now. Hi KRA, we're not going to be paying you anything. We're not going to be paying you anything because we are based in the US. We are located
We
here.
are an American company.
Yes, so we are an American company. So sorry, I know KRA, your people, trying to figure out how much money you're gonna collect. But pole sana, maybe when we start having, one mic show Nairobi edition, one mic show Mombasa edition, then maybe we might have a conversation with you if you're nice.
And
Does
a
it have to be
couple of-
edition or has to be done in Kenya?
Done in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, and with permanent representatives who
Yes,
are
with permanent
needing-
representation.
And our people are normally roving/roaming. So hapo sijui pale utawapata unless they are between Verizon and Safaricom.
Okay, all right. And I want to remind the listeners the number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We want to hear from you. Want to hear what you want to tell us. Mubelo Bandio, is there anyone on hold on the line? Kuna mtu amepiga simu ama watu
No,
wanaogopa?
not yet.
Okay.
Kuna mtu hapa.
All right. So the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We want you to tell us your experiences from what you're hearing your relatives say, and also tell us how is this squeeze, in spending for Kenyans. Disposable income is narrowing in because the taxes are growing. How is this affecting your sendwave? We want to know that. Alafu hapa Washeke says that Ali anachokoza Simba. No, sisi ndo Simba. Wow. I know KRA wako na, oh, by the way, KRA wako na logo ya Simba. Nimesahau. But yeah, when we start earning in Kenya, then we will pay our taxes duly. For now, we are not. So let me come back to the studio. And again, the number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. And then Esther Mulusa ansema Uhuru also increased taxes on remittances from the diaspora by working with Safaricom and Pesa.
Okay.
Esther, please.
Julius, kuna mtu amepiga lakini tutampokea atupe just a minute.
Okay, all right. In a minute, tutakupokea.
2059 will pick your
Yeah, last 4 digits 2059. But Esther, please tell us where these remittances are being taxed, because none of the remittances that I sent to Kenya, I've not seen any tax. So
from our end, we don't see it.
so if there's a hidden tax,
maybe the provider pays.
I know, like when
No.
don't you send
There
money
is
to
no
your
tax.
Safaricom line?
There's no tax.
No, when I say maybe the provider,
Yeah.
like whoever is, sending the money back and forth, because there's an actual company that does the actual transfer. I don't know if they pay a tax based upon something
Almost.
that we don't get to see directly. I don't know.
Okay.
Almost.
Go ahead.
The only income that Safaricom makes from that money is the fees they charge when they do withdrawals. So they will be taxed as income from the company that the company made from the services it offered. So there's nothing that your money is being taxed. There's no way they're taxing your money. It's just gonna be the regular cost of business. This is a service they're offering. It's giving them money, and the whole profit of the company will be taxed that way. Saa zingine pia tuambia do kweli, hakuna kitu Uhuru aliongeza kama taxi ya diaspora remittance. It's actually Ruto is looking for a way on how they can tax it. Nobody is taxing your money in diaspora remittance. The only money you're being charged is the fees that the company you're using to send is doing. So if that company gives you an itemized breakdown of the fees and add taxes on that, they're just telling you what they're taxing on the little income they made from that transaction of moving the money.
Okay, all right. We have a caller. Okay, just 1 minute. We're trying to get the call situation situated, but caller, just be patient. We're gonna come out. We're gonna get to you, and then I think Slay anasema will Sendwave and all these other apps start charging a fee. Now, a lot of these money sending apps are very ambivalent on charging fees, but the way they secretly charge a fee is by the rates that they give you, the exchange rate they give you. It's usually not the market rate, but now because of competition, like each one has to try to outdo the other. So this works in the favor of the customer, of the consumer. Now Esther says, I know the dollar rate from M-Pesa is not the exact amount, and yes, and that's true, and that's where the company makes its profit. That is not a tax.
Money, yes. They're doing the business of selling and buying money.
Yes, they're doing the business of selling and buying money.
By.
Yes, so that's not a tax. unless like someone comes and tells us otherwise, but that margin, because on your itemized, if it's a tax on the itemized like statements they give you, they require to say that this X was paid in taxes. Remember the way, like, even when you get your phone bill or any kind of bill, anything that's remitted in taxes has to be declared, has to be mentioned. So so that's where we are currently, and as we're trying to get the phones together, the other people who are netted in this taxing regime was on rental income taxes. And now I know a lot of landlords out here in the diaspora.
I think that's a good thing, Ali.
So the rental income tax has always been there, but here's the interesting thing: it was actually reduced. So that's good news for those who own rental properties. And some people.
Yeah, I think it was reduced so that more landlords can
comply. Yeah. So
yes,
that more landlords can
comply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that more landlords can comply. Because at the moment, a lot of landlords, including some here in the diaspora, including maybe some who are tuned into the one-man show. We are not going to mention names because Kiare might be watching.
Who is Omosh?
Yeah, we don't even know who Omosh is. But I think.
Who you make Akia Mungu?
Yeah.
But see me behind the tent.
But you see, the thing is, I think, remember Moshi once told us about a mapping exercise that KRA was doing to find out which houses were rentals and which ones were not.
I don't even know why you're calling it a mapping, but those Jamas were kicking gates down.
Now, here's a question. Do you think that mapping exercise failed? Because if you're seeing them reducing this rate, it means they were not able to capture what they expected to capture from that exercise, and now they're trying to see if people can just come in voluntarily.
But I don't know if I would say that it failed. I'm sure they got something. But you see, here's the interesting thing. When you put targets, and because you're assuming that maybe in Nai, let's say there's, I don't know, I'm just throwing a figure out there, 100,000 units.
Yes.
Okay, of that people are living in, hypothetically, right? And you're assuming that of these 100,000, 80,000 of them are going to be rented. That's not necessarily true. There's people who actually live in their houses.
Yeah.
So their targets that they make, are, to me, I would say, are soft targets. They're not based upon any real number. So anything they... Go ahead, Mika.
Omosh, let's look at it this way.
Yes.
A lot of the people who own houses in Kenya are Somalis and Chinese. Especially these new estates that are coming up.
Okay.
So the people
let me ask before you.
Goja. So, and then most of them that they're actually targeting and looking, especially ukiangalia, see it in these affluent neighborhoods. You want to go to ghetto. Alafu kitoka ghetto, you want to go to estates kama kina Uruma, Majengo, nini, like these ones that are above the ghetto slightly, but chini ya middle, chini ya comfortable before uingie. So easy estates za maflats, easy estates za kina Kawangware, like Isama, nani, those are the places they want to target the most. Because remember, those are the high number of tenants in the country, in the country and the city. Those low mid-income earning residential units. So how ndo wanatagetiwa mostly?
Okay.
The people who have a kaploti that has 24 one bedrooms in it.
Okay.
Na nyote mnapanda stairs. Zinagiza diambo, mnaacha taa kumzima.
Mika, unajua kwanza hizo ploti unasema ziko na hizo nyumba sijui 24 na 34 na 36. Kwanza tuseme, I'll give you a good example, Langata. You know, hata ukika nje ama uapproach hiyo ploti kutoka nje, unajua unaona nyumba ngapi? Ama flat
nyumba sita.
Bas, ziko sita.
Okay, all right.
Right, Mika is right, ziko sita. Lakini huko ndani kuna block kama 8.
Okay.
Na huu jamaa kwa gate ashaambiwa there is no way, no how you're saying anything to anybody other than whoever I tell you to talk to.
Okay, we're gonna find about that, but I think we have a call line. I think we have connected our lines right now. So caller ending in 2059. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Can you hear us?
Real name Julius Mayer in Toronto, Canada.
Caller, we're having a bit of a hard time hearing you. Try to speak up, or maybe it's
Will
not.
do.
Caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now I think we can hear you. So again, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Afro Jamaica. My name is Julius Mayer. I'm calling from Toronto, Canada.
All right, welcome to the show, Afro Jamaica. You've been listening to the conversation. So give us your thoughts from Canada and from Jamaica about the new proposals and the new taxing regime in Kenya, Afro Jamaican.
So, M-Pesa must be different from where you're from. When I send M-Pesa, I have the option to pay for the service charge for that person. So let's say I spend 10,000 shillings. The fee might be 100 shillings, and I can say, yes, I want to pay that for them. So there's a charge going on there.
Okay, yes, there's definitely a charge. And I think we're having a slight issue with your connection. I don't know that it's your connection or maybe it might be our connection. I'm not too sure. Maybe you can try getting to an area with a better connection.
Or stand under a tree.
Yeah, and then
I'll try again.
okay, all right. Yeah, just try calling again, and then I will try to connect you again. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. That was Afro Jamaican on the line. We are gonna wait to hear from him again. We want to hear what you're hearing from back Kenya. So please feel free to give us a call. Again, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. And then I see like people are complaining about your audio. So we're gonna try to get that situated. We were talking about
our audio or the callers?
The caller's audio.
Okay.
The caller's audio. It's possibly the caller's audio. We were talking about rental income, which was at 10%, but it's now being reduced to 7.5%. So there's a few positives on that tax bill. Yeah, this is one of them.
But you see, this may not necessarily mean that mapping failed. It just may mean that they are trying to. It's kind of like an amnesty where you tell people, okay, you know what? If you come and pay us the taxes, we won't charge you interest.
Okay.
To get people to come in, because a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. So if I don't have it, if I don't have it with me, I'll never get it. But if I entice people to come and tell them, look, I'm gonna reduce this, just come and pay, they show up.
Ulisahau kusema kitu moja inaekwa tax.
Unga.
Weave na eyelashes.
We'll come to that.
Wewe unajua what is it, either unamwaga mtama ama unaingia mbele ya, what is it called?
We'll come to the weave and eyelashes and beards and also fake beards. Those are all being
so are you telling me that watu wa Halloween wakae gangari?
Now I don't know that will be counted as beards, fake beards, and
Halloween fake beards, Halloween wigs.
That has made me wondering, because for them to consider to tax these products, it means that these products are imported in
huge quantities.
They sure are.
Yes,
wigs.
So, yeah.
It's a huge business.
Nairobi watu wapi?
No.
Watu wana ndevu.
No, there's a lot of people with fake beards. One even the beard gang wameongezeka siku hizi Mika. Unafikiri wametoka wapi? There's a lot of
how do you apply a fake beard?
Hawezi compare na weave. Unaona vile weave ukitembea siku hizi Kenya watu wana zile weave za farasi, hawakai farasi, wanakafiti. Like the weaves are decent, pretty much decent. They have very nice
human hair. It's human hair.
But always compare useme ndevu ni same na weave. Ndo baka ndevu
but what do you mean, Mika? What do you mean, Mika? Uwezi sema ndevu unaweza uwezi compare na weave?
Like Ragalia, like you cannot compare the number of weaves in the country.
Terms of
Oh, yeah.
perspective.
Okay.
Right?
I think the beard. I think the beard was thrown there. You know, and please don't come for me
Just for the sake.
to neutralize
Gender balance.
to kuweka gender balance to neutralize feminists. That's my opinion.
Oh, why are we?
That's not the opinion of the one mic
why
show.
are you coming for
That
us?
I
Na kuna watu
agree
wanaingia na
with you.
nini?
Yeah.
I agree with
Wanaingia
you.
na nywele fake.
Yes, I honestly think that was the reason. Yes, hizo fake beard ziko, but I don't think they are being imported as much.
Tupe hawakuweka ama tupe ni wig.
Beauty and cosmetics is a very huge industry in
It
Kenya.
sure is.
Yeah.
It's a very huge industry. It's a very, very huge industry in
I'm
Kenya. Kenya
surprised.
watu upenda fashion, upenda kukaa vizuri. And it's really sad that it's really sad because most young people actually getting income through it. The beauty industry.
Yes.
You find most young people becoming imaginative using the internet and becoming designers. That's why you see all these small Instagram shops, and then ukienda wako na kastol tao, but the way they market it kwa Instagram, they organize their feeds, wanapiga pictures or modeling nini, like they're actually making it good. So when you start making it hard for them, you're taking away from them utawapeleka kwa crime tena. So I really don't understand why they are going after this industry.
I mean, I think looking at it from a devil's advocate's perspective is that Kenya iko ndani ya madeni, and this money has to be found somewhere. And
Any stone you can look in.
Sasa Zakayo amesema ni lazima mtalipa ushuru mpende msipende. You
Na
know?
zake alilipa ushuru.
And I think the problem here is there was the original philosophy, because there's a population of 50 million. Of course, not all the 50 million are eligible to pay taxes. There's like I think from the voter rolls, 17 million people registered to vote. So we can comfortably say maybe kuna maybe 20 million Kenyans approximately who are of that tax paying age. You know,
Meaning they're over 18.
Meaning they're over 18
Now
and
and
they could
there's
be
a
taxed and they
and
could
there's a
earn
yeah.
to pay a tax.
Yes.
So out of those, there's only 3 million
Who actually work.
who actually are engaging in some taxable activity, whether it's through work or whether it's through investment or whether it's through, you know, like owning a business. I think,
Entrepreneur.
yeah. So I think it's only 3 million.
Wow.
So the general idea was to try and expand that base,
The tax base.
and that's the reason why you're seeing people being roped in who are previously not there. TikTokers, Instagrammers, YouTubers,
Yes.
Gmailers,
Yes.
Yahooers.
The people who are not in brick and mortar.
Yes, the people who are not in brick and mortar are now being roped in. You know, that's one way of expanding that 3 million base.
Wale wase wa kuandika zile makaratasi za nini za kole au pia wanaingishwa hapo ndani.
Oh, zile papers, zile za American students.
Creators, digital.
How ndio part of digital there, but they're not really digital. See how I mean they're earning. I guess
now,
they're earning digitally.
I think that's gonna fall under services being exported, because Kenya is an exporter of services.
Correct.
So I think that's where they're gonna fall in, because I think upper problem when you're coming to taxing exported services, there's an issue of, should the country providing the service tax, or should the country receiving the service tax? You remember Nairobi has a lot of multinationals that provide services across the
Correct.
region.
Yes.
So if Microsoft, for example, is providing a service to someone in Tanzania through the Kenyan office, who collects the tax? Is it the Kenya Revenue Authority, or is it the Tanzanian Revenue Authority? And even making it more complicated, if the service is in Zanzibar, Zanzibar also has their own revenue authority.
All three.
Yeah. So who collects this revenue?
Kila
And I
mtu
think that's part of,
atakula nini kipande chake.
yeah, and I think now this is where, you know, like tax expertise, you know, like comes into play. And this is where, you know, like when business are making decisions about where to locate their businesses, they're looking at this region of Africa and they're like, what's the most tax friendly country where we can install like our headquarters, our regional headquarters, to provide services in that area.
And
so
has
I think
an
that's where
infrastructure as well.
and has a proper infrastructure and has
Yes.
an expertise of people to be able to do that work. So I think those are some of the things that come into consideration. You have to understand that Kenya, for example, and Nigeria, when it comes to now, forget about digital content, there's also a taxation of digital assets. We're talking crypto, NFTs. There was a proposal that they are taxed based on what you get on the return. So let's say you buy crypto for worth 10,000 shillings, and then you sell it at 100,000. That return, that 90K return, is gonna be subject to
A tax.
a tax when you convert it, when you sell your crypto. So
Okay.
and Kenya apparently is among the leading countries in the world when it comes to ownership of cryptocurrency. I was very shocked to find that out.
So are these owners
Yeah, that's how they
owning
money
or
launder.
trading? Are they owning, trading, or both? Meaning, I can just own and hold, and I don't trade it, right? I use it more like as a
Yeah, when you
As a
hold,
bank account,
when
right?
you hold this is taxed upon sale.
understood.
Yeah, it's taxed upon sale. So for as long as
Okay.
you're holding, there's no tax that you're
Okay, I
paying.
guess like
But the moment when you
real estate,
realize
okay.
a profit,
Understood.
yeah, is when you how do you put it? When you realize a profit is when you pay a tax. And here we are seeing a very different taxing philosophy from the taxing philosophy here in the US, because I think most of us are familiar with taxing here in the US, whereby you just have to bring all your incomes, all the different incomes that you made, put them in one pot. Then that determines how much taxes you're gonna pay. As opposed to Kenya, because hata kama ni digital content creator, hata kama kuna withholding tax that Google paid to the federal government, when you go back and file your taxes, and they find that because of the exemptions that people have, they find out that you're within a certain tax bracket, you could get a refund. So that means you could be a digital content creator and pay 15% or even pay 0%, depending on where your tax bracket is. So again, number to call 202-683-4570. I think there might be an issue with our phone lines, so that's okay. We'll try to see.
Is it working?
Is
now?
it working right now, Mbello?
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Let's see if Afro Jamaica can hear us.
Afro Jamaican, you over there?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I think now we can hear you loud and clear.
Can you say something? Can you say something?
Can you hear me? Check 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you. You sound like you're from Trilani Parish.
No, I'm from Kingston. I'm gonna clock in 3:30.
You sound like you don't go home during election.
No, man, I haven't been home in years, man. Kenya is home, Kenya's gonna be home.
Good.
You see, this is, and it is very interesting that you say that, because, and I kept, remember I told you guys this story about meeting Jamaicans in Kenya who have been living in Kenya in and out and go, and there was a guy who was living in Kisumu for a year, and he was rearing chicken, and all he wanted to do was to figure out the best way to rear chicken at the least cost. He even started developing his own feed.
Wow. Okay, that's
And
interesting.
He figured it out.
That's interesting. I think that's Afro-Jamaican's dream. I don't know whether he wants to.
I think Afro-Jamaican sounds like a guy who wants to be somewhere near the lake. So I know where he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether he wants to be, like rearing chicken, or if he wants to be a fisherman. Afro-Jamaican is going to tell us. Afro-Jamaican, how are you doing today?
Welcome to the show.
I am good, man. Thanks for having me.
Okay. So tell us, what do you think about these taxes, this consumption, income, and investment taxes that we're talking about in Kenya? Are they
So-
encouraging you or discouraging?
Because I'm Canadian, I'm used to being taxed.
Yes, you guys do have a very high tax, but you have free healthcare. Blah, blah.
It's not free. We pay for it, but it ensures that if you get in an emergency, you won't go broke getting looked after.
Understood.
So when it comes to Kenya, when I send money to Kenya, I pay a fee to rear or to send wave or whatever. I pay a fee.
Yes.
And when I send through M-Pesa, I pay a fee. So I don't know if the taxes are in there.
We assume that the taxes are somewhere in there. We are not sure.
So Afro-Jamaican,
the taxes are
the
not
taxes are not in there. So if there was a tax, they're required to declare that this fee that we are charging you is a tax. I mean,
No,
of course, all these companies have a corporate tax that they pay,
Correct.
which is separate. You know, excise taxes are statutory taxes, meaning a company cannot just decide that we are charging a tax on this. So a statutory tax, by statutory I mean one that was legislated by parliament. They're required to declare it. Like when you look at your cell phone bill, for example, even when they tell you we're giving you a plan of $70, it will show $70, but if there's extra taxes, they'll tell you exactly
break it
where
down,
this
yes,
is going.
correct.
Yeah, so
Right.
after
No,
Jamaican, back to you.
I think what in M-Pesa, he did say that when he sends via M-Pesa, he's also paying a fee.
There's
right?
a fee, but it's
And-
not a tax, it's a
But-
fee.
Yeah, but
that goes to M-Pesa.
But in that, and then now the company will have to pay taxes on those fees that they've
No,
gotten, right?
So,
Right.
so this is what I'm trying to make clear. There's something called an excise tax. If you go to your bank account in Kenya, this was so interesting. I did not know because I usually go line by line because I've been a banker here in the US and I used to see those excise fees. So in Kenya, you know, banks, certain transactions also require a certain excise fee to be charged, and that's why you will every month see a certain fee on your account. So that 100 shillings or whatever amount M-Pesa is charging you is not a tax, it's a fee that's going to M-Pesa. Now, if the government decides on every M-Pesa transaction we are going to be taxing 1%, then in your statement it's going to show that 1% is going to the government. Okay, for Jamaican, back to you.
Go ahead.
And I have no issues with that. I also think that when it comes to Airbnb, I think the county governments should be taxing that as well and getting something to use in the county.
So
I know that's unpopular.
No, I see where you're coming from.
So Afro Jamaican, I think, you know, like maybe you might be thinking, you know, like Canada and the US, the taxing authority of county governments is very limited. I do not think, and if there's a tax expert, you know, like feel free to correct me, but I do not think county governments. One second, Mika. One second, Mika. I don't think county governments have authority to tax income. They have fees that they can tax you on. There's certain, you know, like piecemeal taxes that they can charge you on and certain tariffs. But as far as income tax is concerned, I think it's only the national government in Kenya that's allowed to tax income when it comes to investment income and when it comes to you know, like employment income. So that right there is a good suggestion, but that has to be changed by law.
By law, okay, I see what you're saying.
For counties to get that taxing authority.
But yeah, I see why it would make sense, because then that way, hopefully, that revenue that comes in that then goes into services that are provided, and you as someone who's deriving from these services, you know, whether it's roads, water, or electricity, whatever it is, then it makes it that much better for your potential clients.
But you know where the problem is going to come when it comes to Kenya?
That the pockets are big as
No. The problem will come once you give counties authority to tax income.
Yes.
There will be third world counties and first world counties, because think about it, most income in Kenya, especially employment based income, is restricted to
Cities.
very few counties. It's restricted to very few counties. Now think about, you know, like a county like Marsabit, you know, like how many incomes are you going to tax there?
But we're
You know,
not.
like-
No, but we're not. Okay, we are not. Again, we're not taken away from what is it called, the national pot that everybody's eating from, right? Because right now the counties are really all eating off that national pot, and some very small fees here and there.
But for the counties to eat, that means the national government has to give up some of their pot for the counties to be able to come in and assess their tax. So I think that's where the problem will come when there's such big differences. You know, like when it comes to
Yeah, so it's
income
like
tax.
The way counties make money is more of let's say they will talk to investors and tell investors come and build companies. Counties come
There
and
you
build
go.
houses.
There you
Counties
go.
come build it. So when they come and they build those companies, so you are given incentives on when you invest. The fees are usually a certain amount. This is what you'll be paying, and you're supposed to put back a certain amount into the county. Now, in terms of tax, the tax just goes to KRA, all of it. So the KRA collects the money, then KRA distributes to the counties. And as Alia said, so if you want the county to start taxing people and making like this is a regular, apart from their county fees that they take, then the government will have to give some leeway to allow them to tax directly.
And I think it will incentivize county governments to work better, because if I know that I'm running a better county, like look at Nakuru, the most responsive county government I've seen in Kenya. If you run a better county, more people will come and invest, and your tax base increases. I'm trying to pay property tax in Kilifi, and it's almost impossible.
Okay, repeat that again.
I say I'm trying to pay my property tax in Kilifi from abroad, and it's almost impossible.
So is this? When you're saying the property tax, is this the land rates or the land rate rent?
The land rate. So I need to pay every year.
Okay,
and I've been trying to pay, and it's almost impossible.
So there should be a way to do it, and normally the way that the land rates end up getting paid is that you would have to set up an account. So you would have to go to what is it called? I think it's Ardhi Sasa, ARDHI Sasa, and then you register your account.
Yeah. So
Ali knows my situation.
Yes.
Okay. Am I wrong?
So I have tax, and I can't pay my tax.
I have details on Afro-Jamaican situation, and I think Afro-Jamaican.
Is it complicated?
We actually need to come and have a show with Afro-Jamaican, because Afro-Jamaican, remember, is a foreign investor. He's one of us, but he's a foreign investor.
But now,
so understand one thing, Omosh, like when most of us, we have Kenyan IDs and we have, like Kenyan documentation. So it's easy for us. We have a PIN number. So it's very easy for us to go into one of those platforms and just automatically go through.
And register, yes.
Register, yes. But it's different, like for foreign investors. And this is where Afro-Jamaican comes in and says, for him personally, he was telling me earlier today that if it wasn't for his emotional connection to Kenya,
he would have said to heck with it.
Yeah, he would have looked for another option, with his money.
Here's my question for him, and I'm not trying to get into your business. When I purchased an apartment in Nairobi, it's been a while, over 10 years ago. The people who I purchased this apartment from were Italians, and they had a company that they had set up. So the two Italian principals were in the company, and they also had a Kenyan in their company. So the company owned the property. So it wasn't them who owned it directly. Now, I'm not sure if the same setup was something that was done for Afro-Jamaican when he was trying to pay, when he was setting up for this particular piece of property. But in the case that is what was happening, that his company is the one that owns, and as a director or manager or MD or whatever of his company, he's a derivative of the things that are owned via the company, and he wants to pay on behalf of the company for the property they own. There should be some dispensation for you to go in and do that. Now, I can see, based upon the issues that we normally have, like with e-citizen, when we're trying to go in and do certain things, if you don't have certain documents, you can't do diddly squat. And by certain documents, I mean ID, not even passport.
Yes.
I mean ID. If you don't have a Kenyan ID,
you will not.
You're basically shipped out of luck.
Okay.
Because that's how they operate. They operate assuming.
All right. Yes.
Kenyan.
Yes. So to come back to the conversation today, I think with Afro-Jamaican, we're gonna get. Oh, don't break everything. I don't know whether that's Mika or that's Afro-Jamaican.
No, just Afro-Jamaican. He's
but Afro-Jamaican, I hope you're not trying to run from the police or something.
No,
You know,
I
hope
think-
you're
I
okay.
think-
No. I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So just wrap it up for us, so that we could get back to the conversation, and then we are gonna schedule. We're gonna find a week.
Don't
and we're
run
gonna
away from
schedule-
Kenya. We're emotionally tied to you now.
Yes, we're emotionally connected to you, so you can't run from
Same
us.
here, man. I'm Kenyan. I have my bracelet and my key ring, and I'm learning Swahili and the whole thing.
Okay.
Enough respect.
All right. Okay. Any last comments before we let you go?
Just that if I want to pay taxes, it should be easier to pay taxes.
You're very
I
right.
shouldn't have to jump through hoops.
You're totally right. And Ali, I hope
Yeah, they love you.
I hope that you're talking to somebody on the ground.
Yeah.
Who's open in that path. And actually, as crazy as it may sound, we can pay it for him.
And here's a problem.
That's as crazy as it sounds, we can actually pay it for
but
him.
Omosh, I think the way you're
But-
thinking, I think is problematic.
No.
No. Give me a moment.
Okay,
give me a
go
moment.
ahead.
I think the way you're thinking is problematic because a lot of times, like when I'm having trouble, for example, with an ID,
Yes.
always, the response I'm gonna get for people, pigiam to simu, pigiam to flani simu. And Afro-Jamaican pigiam to flani simu is call someone, because we're in that position of privilege where we can call someone. But these things should not require anyone to call someone. And I think that's where Afro-Jamaican is coming from. And that's where we also have to wire our thinking and not necessarily think in terms of, don't worry, Afro-Jamaican, we got someone for you. Because today, or Afro-Jamaican maybe is looking for somewhere to pay taxes. He may need another service tomorrow. He may need another service next week. He may need to be getting married to a second wife the week after.
So,
we're
yes,
not gonna-
No, second wife.
No.
Okay, so then no.
Just
then-
an example.
No, but then here's
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah.
If the ability to pay taxes was set up for Kenyans, and he as a non-Kenyan owns a property, then he should not own a property. No, hold
yeah.
on. Listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it was set up for Kenyans, you have to put in certain documents, which is assuming you have those documents. Now, if you don't have those documents, what's the dispensation? Because we do have foreign investors who own. How are they expected to pay?
Now that's where we have to have a proper system. If the law allows
Correct.
for foreign investors
Exactly.
to own,
Exactly.
we also have to have a system it doesn't necessarily have to be online, but it just has to be straightforward. It just has to be easy to understand.
And when I said we can pay,
Yeah.
what I meant is that because you and I have Kenyan IDs, we can actually go in and register and make the payment on his behalf. I'm not saying that there's anything spectacular we are doing. However,
and that is what
and that's what I'm discouraging.
No, but however,
And that's what-
no. What he was discouraging was making a phone call to somebody. But then
No, it's the same thing.
No,
the
it's
same
not.
thing.
It
What
is
are
not.
they
No, at
discouraging?
this point, we want him to pay the taxes so he does not lose his property from some
Okay,
guy
fine.
going to play games.
Fine.
Okay,
Then
wacha
they-
Omosha malize. Mi kangoja Omosha malize, and then you're gonna talk, Omosh.
So what I'm saying is that at this point, we don't want Afro-Jamaican to have issues because of not paying a taxes of 3,000 shillings or something like that, right? The payment is made. Then now we try to find out. So what is the what is there for foreigners who own properties in Kenya? How are they expected to pay this tax?
Okay, so I think what we're gonna do, Afro-Jamaican, we're gonna schedule a Friday with you so that you can provide in detail your experience, so that we can put it in form of content. Because one area where the Kenyan government is very responsive to is content. Like
Anything electronic, those jokers
yes.
will
they
talk
will
within
respond. They will
6.8
respond very
seconds.
quickly.
They
So
sure do.
we are gonna organize this, and not in a bad or a good way, but just so that they
Informational.
can also understand, like the experience that some foreign investors are going through. Because imagine if Afro-Jamaican, who's emotionally connected, is telling us this. Think about how many thousands of people maybe tried to do this, they are not able to do it, and then they shifted left and they went to Tanzania, or they went to Comoros,
Yeah, and
or they
offloaded.
went to
They sold
Yeah.
the
That
property.
is my point.
They
Yeah.
sold the property and said, I'm going to go to a user-friendly place like Zanzibar. Zanzibar is user-friendly.
Okay, last word, Afro-Jamaican, before we get into a Kenya, Tanzania, Zanzibar war.
Yeah, so that is my point. So the big companies have big lawyers; they can get what they need. But you have the average person that will mortgage their house, have $100,000 US, want to invest, it must be easy for them to invest.
Okay.
We can't be jumping through hoops, because then they'll go to another country,
Okay.
like Ghana.
Okay, point taken. Yes, and Ghana has created very seamless processes. So I think we need to benchmark.
What about Rwanda? Is Rwanda? I'm curious. You know, I know Rwanda is open for everybody, but I don't know if this a problem like what Afro-Jamaican is talking about is in existence in Rwanda.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so we're gonna find all that out. That was Afro-Jamaican. Afro-Jamaican, thank you so much. Some comments here were coming on YouTube while we were on the phone. Near generational karibu sana, very good fan of ours here on YouTube. Nia says serikali inapohitaji pesa huenda kwenye uvuvi. You know, I think I know what Nia meant there. You know, and yes, and Nia saying, I hope I said or conveyed my message in decent Kiswahili. That was decent Kiswahili, but we're gonna give you alternative words, you know, for uvuvi, because that uvuvi one, that's an English expression. You know, I don't think, but Mubelo hapo ongesema vipi, you know, because I think what Nia meant is when the government needs money, they go to a fishing expedition to try to get money from all over the place. So hapo kwa Kiswahili sijui ungesema vipi, because huwezi kutumia uvuvi. Because fishing is used sometimes with a negative connotation in English, but Kiswahili uvuvi is always something positive.
Yeah, but uvuvi na kuvua. Kuvua sasa inaweza kawa kutupa ndoana anyway.
Kutupa ndoana.
And see where it lands. Where it lands and who bites.
Okay, sawa. Kama vile mtakaote uko sayote, lakini that's something different altogether. And then Nia also says, I can't get my deceased Kenyan father's national ID, death certificate, and therefore can't get my Kenyan citizenship by descent. My parents divorced a long time ago. Documents for foreigners are hard. So this is where, you know, like, in as much as we say things are easy, these are the things that we have to pay attention to.
This is very accurate. So there's also, before we continue, and sorry, but
let me just finish reading Nia's comment. Nia father says they should make an easier process for foreigners, especially of African descent, African Union 6th region folks. They should make it easier. So thank you so much, Nia Generational. Omosh.
So what I was trying to say was that for Kenyans who have children that are born here, and you want to get these kids to be registered as Kenyan citizens, they have a path as long as the kids are under 18. Once they are older than 18 and you have not registered them, then now things change, because they're no longer considered children, they're now adults, and they now have to start from getting the ID process and applying for an ID. Then once you get your ID, then you can go and apply for a passport. But if you're under 18, you go to the passport path.
But you know what has changed for under 18s that wasn't there before? Is that you're required to have a Kenyan birth certificate. They will not give you a passport without one. So there's a Kenyan birth certificate, and there's a certificate for a Kenyan who was born abroad. So previously, if you were born to a Kenyan parent, you would easily go and get your passport, because you're not eligible to get an ID. You'd get your passport. But now, and I know this from experience, if you have someone who's under the age, a child who's under the age of 18, and you go to apply for a passport for him or her, guess what they're going to tell you? You have to apply for this certificate first. That's the new process.
Then you get the so-called
So once you get it, then you can get your Kenyan passport.
So then when you're over 18, do you then also still apply for that? Because the information that I was given is when you're over 18, you apply direct for the Kenyan ID.
Now, when you're over 18, you're eligible to apply for an ID.
Yes, so you apply for the Kenyan ID, but you still don't have that certificate.
So that on that part, you know, like, I think we're gonna get in touch with our contacts in the embassy.
Yes,
that's a blind spot. I'm not sure if you're over 18, if they will still require you to get that certificate of a Kenyan who was born abroad. Really quick, let's take a pause from this. Bandio, Tanzania.
What do you guys do, or do you just have sugar in Kagera? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Process Tanzania And I know Tanzania, there's no dual citizenship.
Yet
So
they're working on it.
I don't think it's coming.
so kuna process ya
No. They're working on
mto-
special status, no dual citizen.
okay, so kuna process ya mtoto wa chini ya miaka 18 kupata passport ya Tanzania, mtoto aliozaliwa hapa.
No, I think under 18 unakuwa attached na parents.
Okay.
I believe that's what my daughters did.
So when you say attached to the parents,
Yeah, it's dual citizenship, but I think kwanza inakuwa ni mama, kwa sababu Tanzania unapata uraia kupitia mama.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're attached. Then once they're 18,
Kama
they
baba
have.
ni Mtanzania, nafikiri mama sio Mtanzania, sidhani. Nitafuatilia hiyo.
So once
Okay.
they're 18, they have to declare.
Yes. That I know.
That's
for
why.
sure.
Okay.
Remember
That's how
Kenya-
it
Kenya
used to be in
Kenya
Kenya
Kenya.
used to do that. Remember
Yeah.
that, right?
That's how it
Yeah.
used to be in Kenya before
what
the new
happened to me.
constitution. Okay. And Washeke here says that the mentality of I know someone or I have a connection is not only perpetuating corruption, but very damaging. Even when
Tell
things
Washeke to see me in
even,
camera.
wait,
Oh, yeah.
no, let me finish. 1 second. Let me finish reading Washeke's comment. Even when things can be done straightforward, some Kenyans still believe a connection is the way to go. Case in point, Kenyans are being conned by agents promising them visas
course.
for US, etc. Even though the US Embassy website has all the instructions.
Correct.
I had an argument today with someone who was insisting they have a connection that will bring them to US for a CNA job. So I think this is what Washeke is saying is a way in which a lot of Kenyans are wired to think, and we have to reverse that. We have to reverse that, and even the government is also trying to reverse that in certain ways, but I think people are so wired to thinking like that no one will just tell you, just go to that office and get your ID. And in some cases, you'll actually go and get the document you're looking for. But because of the way people are wired, and that's the worst form of corruption. That's why when you go to Nyayo House, you will find so many brokers outside. There's brokers for all kinds of things. When you go to Huduma centers, there's all kinds of brokers outside. So now here, you have people who want to come to the US to do a CNA job, and someone is telling Washeke that they have a connection of how a hookup of how they can get here.
They can call me a
Because of
Muslim.
how we're wired to think. Just try to imagine.
The way like Omosh.
If this was the process, if you wanted to go get, a driver's license in your local DMV or MVA, just think about it. I mean, out here in America, we are so wired to knowing that there's processes for everything. So whenever you want to get a document, even if it's the first time, all you need to do is to go online,
Show up in
follow
that,
the procedures,
yes, office,
show up where
yes.
you need to show up, and you're gonna get it.
There's
I
a
want-
difference between system and shit system.
There you go. And that's why I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We deviated away a bit, but we've been talking about the Financial Bill 2023.
And the motion not
Taxes.
corrupt.
Taxes and how these taxes are affecting people in the diaspora. There was an income tax increase for Kenyans who are earning over 500,000 shillings a month. And for context, that is 6 million shillings a year. So it's been increased from 30 to 35%. That's on income over 500,000 a month or over 6 million a year. That's a very high tax rate, because I calculated 6 million shillings a year equates to about 48,000 US dollars. So imagine any income above 48,000 US dollars
Pay 35.
being taxed at 35%. That is very steep. I'm not sure even if people know their tax brackets here in the US. It's very important to learn about them. But at 48,000, I think you're still on the 10%, 12% bracket.
35 is a
Because 30%, it starts very far away, because even 80, at 90,000, at 100,000, ujafika 30%. 100,000 US dollars a year, you're still at around 24. I don't have the exact numbers, and these numbers keep changing every year. They keep being adjusted every year. So this is actually a very high tax. Now, one of the arguments that has been brought up is that the number of people who are earning over 500,000 shillings a month are very few. So this tax is not affecting a lot of people. But here's my counter argument before, I read these comments that are coming here. Here's my counter argument. A lot of these people who are earning that high amount, there's so many people under them depending on some form of employment. It could be a security guard, a watchman, it could be a cook, it could be a driver, it could be like a domestic worker, like a housemaid. There's so many people who are eating. Now once you start taking away that pie from them, guess what's going to happen? Some of these people down here are also going to suffer. And that base that you're trying to expand, it's going to shrink. So increasing the tax rate does not necessarily increase the actual amount of taxes that you collect. A couple of comments here. Bandio, you had a comment before we go start reading the comments?
Just reading some comments.
Okay.
From Kaiser.
Okay, so hapa naona Washeke anasema they're being told to pay 300,000 shillings for CNA course, and that will guarantee them a visa to the US. And I've seen people advertise this, like on Instagram and other platforms. I don't know how true that is. Maybe Washeke, you can follow up with us to tell us if some of these courses that people are taking in Kenya are legit, or if they're just money-making scenarios. And then Afro-Jamaican says, I'm getting my bank account without paying a bribe. So that's why my process is so long. I refuse to pay a bribe, and I agree with you, Afro-Jamaican. We have to kill this. And then Washeke hapa anamwambia Slay tuhame tuende TZ or Rwanda.
Afu Slay anasema nenda Rwanda.
Washeke anasema also sounds good tuende. And then hapa Steven JJ anasema Kenya needs a serious leader na mambo kwisha. We are on the runway just waiting to take off. Ndege imejaa mafuta, passengers have boarded. Yule mtu wa kuweka pressure kwa miguu ndio anatuvuruta nyuma. And I think, not to get political, but I think the day when Kenya gets the right leader, yani mimi nakwambia hata utaona sasa wa Kenya wale kwa hapa na hama na wanarudi nyumbani.
Right leader from where?
It doesn't matter when you say from where.
What do you mean from where?
When you say
I mean,
from
if
where,
the issues in the society, right? Wametoka chini. So you need to fix here, at least to expect that one day you have future leaders.
Unajua kwa nini I will say I don't think shida iko na society is because we have these good leaders everywhere in Kenya. We have them.
Then una shida na society kwa sababu society hai choose good leaders.
Yes.
Au wanaacha bad leaders waingie madarakani. So either or, society wana issue.
Na hiyo issue of society, I think that issue is also here in the US.
Yes.
I honestly feel that we have a broken political system in the United States and back home. We have a broken political system where it rewards people who know how to peddle fear. It rewards people who are on the extremes. That's a current political system that we have. There's jurisdictions. Yes, there's jurisdictions. Hata afadhali kuza hope kuliko, kutishia watu, because there's a lot of fear that's being sold and people, fly for that.
Which one, like Huduma number?
There's jurisdictions. I think Ireland is one of them. And I think also New York City has experimented with something called ranked choice voting, which is a different form of voting whereby rather than just vote for one person, you have a list of like 5 candidates and you have to rank them from the one that you like the best to the worst. So here you have to remember.
But the issue is, what if you only know one? Like most people here, they'll go vote for the governor. And then
nasema,
that's why I say there's an issue in society. Hapa Washeke nasema kwamba leader anointed by God. Ila wale watu wanaomjua Mungu hawaendi kupiga kura. You see?
Ndo nasema I think we have a broken political system because you see what's happening right now. When our elections happened, watu wa Kenya kwanza walikuwa wanashangilia, wanatutroll na nini, lakini shangwe, vifijo na nderemo zimekwisha. At least even during Uhuru's time, you would see Uhuru's people still come out and vote for him. That's not happening anymore. Yani kumekuwa kubaya, ni kama giza imeingia, giza totoro. Nobody is even our watu wasijui Hustler Intelligence Bureau. Yani giza kimetanda and people are now even fearful of even trying to defend what's happening, because I think the chicken have come home to roost very fast. And if something is not done very swiftly, I think we're heading in a very dark direction, just going by the number of things that we are now sending remittances for that we were not sending remittances for before. Mtu anakuambia anahitaji chakula, na huyu ni mtu ambaye hata kawaida yake alikuwa si mtu wa kukuomba pesa ama si mtu wa kusumbua, but mtu anakuambia watoto wangu hawajakula vizuri for 2 weeks, like what do you do? So that's where we are currently, and I think we are at a point.
But I hear JJ say, I don't know, but when the country gets a serious leader, everyone will toe the line. My question is, how do the country get a serious leader?
Sometimes it's an element of luck. I know maybe you might disagree with me, Bandio, but I will say, for example, Tanzania, you guys fell on a stroke of luck. So you guys fell on a stroke of luck of Mama Samia, who was not on the lineup. Hakuingia katika kura.
I hate to say this, lakini sidhani kama ni good leader either.
Okay, ndo nasema we can agree to disagree. Yeah. But here's a problem, Bandio, I have with that kind of thinking. Unajua hata Nabii Muhammad ama Yesu Kristo akawekwa pale awe ndo kiongozi wa Tanzania. Unajua bado watu watamkashifu. So that's the reason why we are not looking for perfect leaders.
Kuna swala la kumkashifu.
Yeah.
Lakini kuna swala la kuwa on the ground na kuangalia mambo yanavyokwenda.
Ni kweli, yeah.
Kwa hiyo kinachoonekana huko juu,
yeah,
sio kile ambacho kiko pale chini.
So
this is nothing. I nampenda mama.
Yeah.
Nafikiri kuna vitu anafanya kama ambavyo nilimpenda Magufuli na Mkapa na Mwinyi na wengine wanamtangulia na Kikwete kwa mambo yao. But kama ulivyosema, sio tu kwamba sasa hivi hata ukimleta Yesu na Mtume Muhammad watu watakashifu. Hawatoenda kwa sababu the issue is the shit system inayorun, sio mtu. So system yenyewe iko so corrupted to the point kwamba by the time unafika pale juu kupinga corruption, njia unayopitia ni ya corruption. So by the time unafika pale hauna hata uwezo wa kuzungumza kuhusu corruption because you are so corrupted to get to the point that you can talk about corruption. So it's the system that is broken ambayo inafanya watu. So watu hawapigi kura. Watu wazuri wengine hawapigi kura. Nilikuwa naambia hapa, Washeka amesema kwamba mtu ambaye yuko anointed na God. Lakini kama wanaopiga kura ni watu wa shetani ndio wako wengi. Utampataje mtu wa Mungu? So that's the problem. Tatizo limeanzia kwenye civic education, tatizo liko kwa jamii kwa maana hiyo. Watu hawajui responsibility yao. Watu hawajui nguvu ya kura. Wangekuwa wanafanya hivyo, ungekuwa unapata good leader. Na akiingia pale, anajua kwamba yuko responsible na mnamshikisha responsibility. Amesema Slay, watu wanachagua kwa huyu ni mtu wetu. That's the problem. Kwa hiyo kuna shida kwenye society huko chini na viongozi wote wanatoka huko chini. Tusipo fix sasa hivi hapa, ina maana tunatengeneza tu next generation ya bad leaders and keep complaining na tupate.
Okay, fair enough. Mika had something you wanted to add.
No, Bandia has actually said most of what I want to say. The thing is that there have been good leaders in Kenya who have never been elected or given a chance to do anything, and we know that they are people who can do that. I tell you, Baba, like you, so these guys qualified for this post. If somebody going for even just a mayorship or a governorship, and you will see that this person can actually do this job. The issue is, number one, tribalism. It's always there. It's always going to be there. It's an issue to give it's always going to haunt us for the rest of our lives. Another thing is that people just don't even know. Ask any Kenyan just one part of the Constitution. They have no idea what it says. So people don't even know the power that they hold. They don't even know they can recall their leaders and fire them. People don't know that what would tell to but actually you can recall them na mwatoe. Constitution allows you to do that. People don't know that. Because we don't care. Sisi uko na ile worship. We will worship you. You're a leader, we will worship you. We will tell you. You just tell us a few things we want to hear. We'll feel that you're the perfect one. And even when somebody comes and speaks with logic and sense, we will not see it. So it will take a lot of change to the citizenship to get a good leader who can work. Because even if you get a good leader, one good president, and the rest are bad, huyo jamaa atafrustratiwa, atapigwa, atasumbuliwa kwa kutaba watu liasiji cartels. We assume tunaambia cartels ni mabaya, but then you're just alone. You're frustrated, you can't do everything. Everybody supposed to work with you doesn't work. So we need more than just one good leader. We need to change our way of thinking.
Okay.
Alafu ndo tuanze kufikiria you're a good leader.
Absolutely. To wrap up this conversation on leadership, there's just one thing, that I'm gonna add, and it's because I'm also seeing this from a different perspective, in the sense that like some of these so-called good leaders, do not want to learn politics, because that's a problem that we have. Now remember when we had Kibaki has always been hailed, by most people as he was a good leader. He brought back the economy. But remember during Kibaki's regime, that's when we had post-election violence in 2007. And there was something very interesting that Dr. David Ndii said, like I sometimes, he's a very good economist, but sometimes he also gets too political. But there's something that he said that got me thinking. He said, one of the reasons why we got to the violence in 2007 is because Kibaki mismanaged the politics. I know this politics is a word that good people and good leaders hate, but that's what you get. As great as a leader you are, if you mismanage the politics, then that's 2007 is what happens. Like had that politics been managed, in a better way, then 2007 possibly could not happen. Another juncture where we're looking towards another period of violence was after the 2017 elections. But guess what? Uhuru was very tactical in managing the politics, and that's why he brought about the handshake and everything went cool. Now right now we have President William Ruto. Now with William Ruto, I think William Ruto is on the other extreme. He has overmanaged the politics to the point that running of the country, the technical side of running the country, is now being neglected, and that's why we are where we are. That's why you're seeing the dollar, move in a very rapid direction,
leaps and bounds.
Yes, so there has to be a proper balance, for these so-called good leaders. If you come there,
what to that promise of the dollar going low?
Again, that's what I'm calling overmanaging politics. By overmanaging politics is you're constantly telling people what they want to hear, even if it's clearly not true, and even if it's clearly not going to happen. And that's the reason why we are where we are. Our president, unfortunately, right now is in a position where whenever he says anything, even his most loyal supporters have difficulty believing in what he says. Right now, we have not talked about the housing levy. There's a 3%, housing levy that's being charged on employees, and the employer is also supposed to match it with that 3%. Now, what everybody is saying, unfortunately, most people, as far as I've seen, people are saying we don't want these houses. Let us keep our money, because a lot of people feel like that this money will be collected and it will go to do other things.
But the houses is not supposed to be for them, it's supposed to be for others.
That doesn't make sense. I don't agree with that housing levy too. It doesn't make sense to me at all. Why are you? Because most of these employees can't even afford rent for themselves. But then you're taking a 3% of their salary. Basically, you're telling people to downgrade on their lifestyle so that you can be able to fulfill a campaign promise, which is not going to help these people at all.
Now, and here is where, I think our parliament needs to get to a point where they start teaching their constituents how to try to effect these things, because now this bill is in parliament, and most of the times when the members of parliament are in their constituencies, wana focus na mambo ya CDF, because CDF is what gets you elected and unelected, and that's only maybe that's less than 1% of the government budget. When you're talking about the finance bill, this is a very big part of the budget, and it's going to affect your pockets. But this is just being force-fed onto people. I was even hearing someone say that this bill must pass, bill ya KK must pass without even removing a comma. And I'm like, what kind of conversation is that in a situation where clearly the whole country is crying? Kwanza, that housing, that 3% housing levy, that's a very big percentage of your income that's going to a black box that you don't know if it's going to benefit you. And I think it's okay to come up with programs to do affordable housing, but I think it's also important to prioritize the fact that people are not employed. You know, so even when you build this,
there's no income.
Yes, when you build these affordable houses,
who's gonna go in there?
Remember those houses? Remember those houses that were built near Kibra?
The ones off
some
the
years
railroad
ago.
track. See, you know, those guys got them and rented them out.
Exactly. That's what happens when there's
And
no income.
they went back to.
They went back to Line Saba. They went back to Line Saba kwa nyumba ya matope.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make sense. Mtu analipa rent 3,000 ama sijui Line Saba siku hizi ni how much kwa mwezi. Mtu analipa rent 2,000 alafu kwa nyumba ambayo haina stima, haina maji, kwa hivyo haina bills. Alafu sasa unampeleka katika nyumba
wanavutiwa stima na huyo jamaa.
Wanavutiwa, you know,
Yeah,
but those are illegal connections.
Correct. Yeah,
those are illegal
you're
connections.
right.
So
There's
there's
no
no
water, there's no.
So you get
right.
your steamer and water as needed. But now,
No issue with the illegal stuff.
yeah, but
But
now,
boss, that's the reality. That's what happens.
hiyo ndo reality geto ya Kenya. Mi bandio siku moja njoo Nairobi tukutembeze.
No.
Njoo Nairobi tukutembeze, wewe mwenyewe utajionea maajabu. Unajua kutembea ndo kujua. You see, even in Dar es Salaam, zile sehemu ambazo wanaita ghetto, ukija ghetto ya Kenya ndo utajua maana ya ghetto ni nini. Even hapa America tunaonyeshwa ati hizi ndo ghetto hizi hapa. Hizo hapo bana, hizo ni nyumba kabisa, na kuna sehemu ambazo watu wanalala, wanaoga na nini. Ghetto za Kenya tofauti kabisa. Kuna mtu kwanza hapo Kibra ana charge ukitaka kuoga na maji ya moto, yani unalipa kwa yes. Kuna mtu ambaye unataka baridi au ya na anakutime.
Yep.
Kuna ya shilingi 5, kuna kuoga ya shilingi 10, kuna sehemu unaenda kulipa unataka haja gani, haja kubwa au haja ndogo. Yes.
Yep. Ukitaka kununua blue band, unataka ya kijiko, unataka ya sijui
mpaka hata sukari unauziwa kijiko kile cha chai.
Nikienda kwa mama wanakwenda ni kwa kilo. Okay.
Let's take a call. Hizo za kwa tujui hizo hapo, hizo za Kagero huko atujui.
You malakum.
Yeah, so Mbelo, what's the last 4 of the caller?
I think it's Afro-Jamaican again.
It's Afro-Jamaican? Okay, Afro-Jamaican, can you hear us?
Do not discount the housing project. In Jamaica, we have the National Housing Trust.
Okay.
It is a tremendous success in Jamaica.
Okay.
Many Jamaicans own homes because of this. It is operated separately from the government.
Mm-hmm.
The monies go separately to this government organization.
Okay.
The money cannot be used for the general budget.
Who pays this money? Where does it come from?
It comes from the taxes. Everybody pays housing trust in Jamaica, whether you're going to buy a house or not.
So is it a tax, like on employed people? What kind of tax is it?
It's a tax on employed people. It comes off your paycheck.
So it's a specific one that's dedicated for housing?
That is correct. And let's say I'm rich and I have my house and I don't want to use my points.
Mm-hmm.
I can give my points to my children so they can get a house. They can use their points and my points to get a house.
So when you say points, are you saying that every eligible adult has some sort of lifetime credits to get this shelter?
That is correct. You can get a house built by the government, or you can get a loan at 0% or maybe 1% to buy a house from the housing trust. It is a government agency, but it is operated separate from the government.
Now,
how long has it been in operation?
I am, 50? I'm born and it was already there.
Okay. So
Interesting.
Afro-Jamaican, here's an interesting thing. I think we need to learn more about that Jamaican model. I'm going to go start do some reading about it. The issue with Kenya is mistrust,
Corruption.
not mistrust just based on dislike, but mistrust based on experience of previous funds. The
Things
women
on
fund,
the ground.
the youth fund.
Listen,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. And it really upsets me when I hear Kenyans talk down about Kenyans that way, because every country has corruption. At some point, we have to believe in our institutions. And if we hire the right people to run these institutions, I think it will be successful.
I totally agree with you, Afro-Jamaican.
I agree with you, but where we are now, and unfortunately, it's so hard for us to undo that mentality, and we are working on ourselves, and we are outside. I can only imagine those who are inside who have to pay it. But I think maybe even when what was it, NSSF and NHIF, when that started, I'm sure the skepticism was the same.
Was there?
And we have seen NHIF work.
Not perfect, but it's working to a certain extent.
Yeah, NSSF, we have also seen it work, even though.
Yeah, but I think also Afro-Jamaican, you need to understand. You need to also empathize with a person who's earning maybe 50,000 shillings a month, can barely make ends meet,
50
and they're now being asked to pay, this amount that's gonna take a good chunk of their income. So I think we also need to empathize with those people.
Graduated tax. It should be a graduated tax, because everybody in Jamaica pays it, whether you make $1,000 Jamaican a week or 100,000. And the thing is, that program is so successful that Jamaican diasporans abroad even will volunteer to pay that fee. They volunteer and they pay it, even though they're not living in Jamaica, because they want the opportunity to buy a house back home.
Oh,
okay.
smack.
All right.
Okay, I get what it is. So does Jamaica have dual citizenship?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Afro-Jamaican, we're gonna give you a Friday. You have
This guy,
earned a Friday.
Yeah, he has earned like 6 spots.
Yes. You have earned a Friday. So
Yeah.
yeah, we need to have a conversation, and I like when you slow us down. We try our best to do all the positive talk about Kenya, and it's been a while. It's been a while since we got into ranting about Kenya. Once in a while, we're gonna do that, but of course, for the most part, we try to bring out positive stories about Kenya, about Kenyans, and about how we are growing, and about how we are building ourselves to get to where we want, so that we have more Afro-Jamaicans, lining up to come to Kenya to grow the economy. So thank you so much, Afro-Jamaican. All right.
Entirely my pleasure, man. Have a good night.
All right, you
You
too.
too.
All right. So let me see. There's a couple of comments here that were coming through while we were talking. So yeah, Afro-Jamaican here was telling us research, the Jamaica National Housing Trust, don't discount it. It has led to many Jamaicans owning a home. So yes, so this might work, but I think also the government needs to work on the trust part. They need to show that they're gonna properly utilize people's
But part of
people's
this
funds.
for us, at least, this whole roadside declaration type thing, where
Yes.
somebody just sits and then they just come out and say,
Yeah,
and then you're like, okay, so all right, how is this gonna be done?
Yes, and
And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, wait a minute, you mean that this is actually something that you guys are gonna do? Nobody has come up, there is no plan, there's no, like he said, it needs to be something that is being rolled out based upon like your income, blah blah, not a flat 3% of my 1,000 or 3% of the 10 shillings that I make.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that one day before I die, I
Yeah.
may get the opportunity
Yeah.
to enter this house, which by the way, they're only building, what I think, did he say 100,000 per year?
I don't even know how many they're building.
I think he said 100K.
Ni bahati nasibu, ni pata potea.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
ni kama
you may,
pata potea.
you may never, and you're putting money in, and just and obviously, like Afro-Jamaican said, with the system that they have, there are people who pay into it, even from here, who are saying, I hope and pray that I'll be able to get to the point where my name is next and they will build me a house because of the little bit that I have been putting
But
in.
you have to earn that trust. The government has to
Yes.
earn that trust.
I
see what I mean?
I am with you.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the difference between where they are right in Jamaica and where our country
had
is.
to-
Not
they had to-
only
yeah, they had to
Kenya,
get-
but even TZ.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah, they
trust
had to get-
deficit.
Yeah.
There's a
I
trust
don't even
deficit.
think I can pay with the promise of 2024.
Yes, because right now tuko hali whereby our income is 100k and 70k is going towards kulipa madeni. You know, hapo sasa hata kama, you know, like hata kama weni baba pale nyumbani, you know, like umempromise mtoto 16th birthday nitakununulia Benz. Sure. But wewe income yako ndo hiyo hapo unabambanya. Kati ya 100k you're making, 70k is going towards paying debts, paying nini na nini. Ikibaki ile kidogo, yani hata labda hata Probox haiwezi kutosha kununua.
Yes,
But wewe tayari
Tanzania ni hivyo hivyo.
Mm.
Sasa nauliza TZ too. Yeah. Na sisi tuna shida zetu, maybe not the same, but
yes, shida za Tanzania ni tofauti, and I think Kenya na Tanzania we have like opposite kind of problems where
Yes.
we can learn from each other.
but
In Tanzania kuna hiyo ujamaa na undugu, which actually helps, especially when the government wants to implement a project na nini, it's easier to implement. But in Kenya it is 100% skepticism. You know, like anything that the government throws out, it's we believe it's a lie until you prove to us it's true. And in Tanzania I think it's the opposite. When the government comes vizuri, people have that trust where they believe it's true until it turns around and sometimes becomes not true. So I think we need to find ways in which we can have the people have trust in us. Now, as we get to wrap up here, I also wanted to talk about the tax on betting, sports pesa, betika, odibets. Tanzania pia nasikia mko na Wasafi Bets na sijui bet gani.
So are you saying that
Bet
we
this.
can't now, if these guys want to tax us, we can't go to TZ and bet from TZ?
No.
I just get a
karibu.
256
TZ
number.
pia huko ndani utakuwa tax pia. Unajua hii betting and alcohol zinaitwa sin tax. And here's the interesting thing. Sin yani dhambi.
Yes.
Here's the interesting thing. I was very shocked the first time I learned that terminology. Alcohol, you know, taxes related to alcohol. I think sigara pia ni sin tax, and then betting pia ni sin tax. It's interesting when alcohol is put together with gambling, because katika Qurani yetu pali ambapo pombe imetajwa inatajwa pamoja na kamari. Na mimi sikujua maana yake, you know, katika Quran until when I traveled to Las Vegas. That's when I understood the power of alcohol and gambling put together. You know, like I was seeing it because ukenda katika casinos in
Yes.
Las Vegas,
Yes, everything
watu
is-
wanakuwa supplied alcohol ya bure.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, kwani these people hawaelewi kuwa na meclose, hawaelewi kuwa na ndo nikakuja kuelewa kwamba, you know, like when I saw Kenyans starting to lose money very fast, you know, going to play games, mtu anaka Russian roulette table, hata jui Russian roulette.
He's not
nini.
even Russian.
Yeah, he's not even Russian. He
Yeah,
doesn't
ameenda
know.
kunywa pombe ya bure.
Yeah, ameenda kunywa pombe ya bure.
And it is real alcohol.
Yes, so this sin taxes, I think, you know, like the government is trying to do, you know, like it's trying to walk, chew gum and jump at the same time when it comes to these sin taxes,
They
because
could be skipping rope at the same time also.
because I think, you know, like they started, you know, like initially when these entities came, there was no proper laws around them, but now I think they started taxing them and they started realizing that this is very good money they can get, so wakaanza wakaongeza to a point where some of these betting companies felt like it's no longer worth.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
pulled out.
Yes.
And then now in the new definition they have of how they're taxing winnings, because betting companies may complain the tax is too high. You know, like for example, like if you wager 1,000 shillings and you win 10,000, so your winnings are 9,000 shillings. So previously that 9,000 is what was subject to tax, but now under the new definition, if you wager 1,000 and you win 9,000, so you have a total of 10,000, the whole 10,000, the amount that you won and the amount that you wagered, yote ndani, yote is being taxed.
But But I brought my money in, so why you? And I had already been taxed from some other source.
Exactly. Now that's the argument, and even and that argument makes sense. I brought my own money, so why are you taxing my money? Yet this was my money from my income, which had already been taxed. Correct. And then now here, because I won, unaitax yote. Mika.
No, ni sawa tu. I think it's okay. I do not support gambling. I do not encourage gambling in any way.
You see that?
I believe it's a very bad vice. It's and it's very addictive. It's so addictive. Gambling does a lot. Gambling is responsible for a lot of broken homes. Statistically,
so is alcohol, my friend.
Gambling is worse than alcohol.
No, I think they are neck and neck, in my opinion.
No, I think gambling.
Almost gambling is worse than alcohol.
Maybe it's a faster decline, or should I say?
Well, when I argue, factually, like it's gambling is a cause of distraction, of the number one cause of distraction of family units
ask a Kenyan woman, see what she says.
Where they do, Goja, where they do, you'll find people who gamble who are not drinking, then will start drinking after gambling. Gambling them and push huko. Because ameenda kukunywa kunambi hizo pain na kunambi hizo stress yote. Once somebody gambles, once you gamble away, not only your money, your salary, your savings, your wife's savings, and your wife's salary, and your kids'
school
investments, investments za shule zote umekunywa, ndio utajua stress ya gambling itakufanya kwa unakunywa pombe wewe ukunywa pombe. Gambling has led to a lot of I don't know. For me, if there's one thing I can tell people to ban in the world, it's that thing. There is never a winner. The house is always set up.
The house always wins.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
The house always wins. And that's why nawaambia, it will be easy for each one of you, mkiwa Waislamu tu. Pombe
na sigara.
Kamari hapana, sigara haiko.
Okay.
Lakini kuna wanazuoni fulani ambao wanataka wanaingiza sigara na wanaingiza miraa pia. Lakini pombe
hapa
na kamari.
Kwa Muislamu au kutii Uislamu?
Kutii Uislamu.
Okay.
Hapo sawa. Hapo
sababu nawafahamu kuna Waislamu ni
hapo
Waislamu wanakunywa kukunywa.
No, ni kweli na Waislamu wengi ambao wanakunywa, because hata pia mimi nina jamaa.
Kwa sababu mwezi wa Ramadhani hata biashara huwa inashuka.
Ni kweli kuna Waislamu ambao wanakunywa. Na angalia Waislamu wengi ambao wanakunywa utakuta pia wanaharibikiwa.
Of course.
Unajua
kunywa tu tayari ni kuharibikiwa.
Unajua kwanza sisi
alcohol is I can tell you as somebody who if you tell me to count, I can count the number of drinks I've drank this year. From somebody who used to drink a bottle in a sitting. Even at a bottle in a sitting was something very ilikuwa pombe kidogo sana kwangu. There are times I could do 2 bottles in a sitting. 2 bottles of whiskey.
So
I will tell you, alcohol doesn't give you anything. Pombe inakunonesha na inakumalizia pesa. Hizo vitu mbili pekee.
So
hiyo kitu kupatia
ukilewa pia unaona kila mtu ni mrembo.
There are some decisions that people who are
watoto ambao hawakutarajiwa.
Okay.
But back to the taxing regime.
Yes.
You know, like even here in the US, you have a lot of these things that people go play at 7-Elevens. Inaitwaje?
Scratch cards.
Those scratch cards. Those are forms of gambling. They're milder forms of gambling.
They are.
But those are also forms
of huge, big time addictive.
They're very big time, and they make a lot of money.
Ila betting imekuwa mbaya sana nyumbani.
Yes, imekuwa mbaya sana because regulation pia.
Imekuwa mpaka kwenye media. Kila radio to survive.
Unajua
yes.
Yeah.
Betting.
Shida ni and I think I blame social media for this. Shida ni nyumbani kila mtu anataka instant gratification. Unaona? Kiki inauza sana. Kiki kwa kila mahali mpaka kila mtu anafikiri kiki ni maisha. Everybody is looking for it. Now, hakuna makazi, but mtu anataka hiyo maisha ya haraka. Na yeye si muizi. Hajui kuiba, hawezi nyonga, hawezi fanya nini. Hawezi tapeli, hana hiyo. Hiyo iko ndani yake. What is the easiest way to make money? Betting.
Yeah, but unajua Ali. So hapa ndo ambapo nafikiri nina shida na government. Zote.
Yeah.
Kenya, wacha nizungumzie government ya Tanzania. Kiki amezungumza hapo Mika, right? Kiki. Lakini mimi naona zaidi kiki ipo kwa serikali yenyewe. Unajua jinsi gambling ilivyo mbaya. Sikiliza tu online, sikiliza radio ya Tanzania.
Kenya tu.
Nafikiri ni Azam Media ambaye Azam alisema kwamba sitoweka gambling katika radio yangu au TV.
Oh, that's very strong.
Is Azam a Muslim owned?
Alhaji yule, yeah.
Okay.
But there's other medias, there's other medias Muslim owned that are still advertising.
You know, there are some people who have said we're not going to do certain things and forget that.
Serikali wanakuambia kwamba gambling ni mbaya, lakini hawaweki sheria yoyote. Wanachukua kodi kutoka kwenye hiyo gambling.
Yes.
They make a lot of money.
Na wanaipenda.
Radio zote sasa hivi zinaendeshwa na gambling. Kama hauna sijui Wasafi Bet sijui nini you're done.
Blah blah, yes.
Tutatoa milioni moja.
Inaitwa
Kameme, nazifahamu. Unajua. So here's the thing. Serikali zetu ndio maana nimezungumza kwamba kuwa na viongozi wetu wote, unajua, bwana sifiwe, asalamu alaykum, wote ukisimama, Mungu atulinde, wote wanazungumza, lakini hakuna mtu anataka kuleta suluhisho. Siku hizi nitakwenda off topic kidogo. Tanzania kuna makelele sana kuhusu ushoga. Kila mtu akisimama
na usagaji,
same sex marriage, gays, nini, kila mtu anasimama anazungumza hivi. Lakini serikali haiwezi kusema kwamba sisi serikali, kila radio Tanzania imesajiliwa na TCRA, Tanzania Communication Regulation Authority, right? Kwa nini waseme kwamba kama usagaji is that bad, wanaweza kaspend all day bungeni wanazungumza kuhusu usagaji, wanatukana tu, wanalalamika, lakini hamna mtu anayekuja na solution kusema kwamba what if tukafikiria zikatengenezwa program ambazo kila siku kila radio, kwa sababu umesajiliwa hapa, utarun 5 minutes hiyo kitu. Hamna mtu anayesimama akasema solution ni hili. Kila mtu anasimama aonekane kwamba anapinga. Hatutokubali sisi washenzi wasilete mambo sijui Uingereza sijui Marekani au Magharibi. Baada ya hapo kila mtu analalamika, hakuna nini? Hakuna solution. Kwa gambling ni mbaya, inapeleka nchi pabaya. Vijana siku hizi hawataki kufanya kazi. Kila mtu anachukua, anaweka shilingi 1000, alafu baadaye akipigiwa simu umeshinda milioni 2, alafu naambia ujumbe wako to gamble, tucheze sana hii, this is real. Sasa mtu akiangalia kweli 1000 amepata milioni, lakini unajua wanatengeneza pesa kiasi gani?
Wanatengeneza pesa kiasi kubwa sana.
Watu siku hizi hawafanyi kazi. Kama mfika pale 7-Eleven kila siku watu wamekaa wanaangalia kwenye screen, wale farasi wanakimbia wale. Anachukua dola anaweka.
Hiyo gambling imetengeneza the biggest coming in Kenya sahi. Inaitwa match fixing bets.
Oh yes. Oh my goodness.
So now there's another industry of people who sell match fixing bets. Anakwambia eka hii bet itakuletea hii
big time. Tanzania kuna rooms kama more hivi, watu wanaingia kwa ajili ya kwenda kuangalia match. Nani anacheza na nani, ukifanya hivyo unapata milioni.
Na watu wanasema kuna watu wana bet mpaka kwa Russian League.
Yeah.
Sindio, siaona na hizo odds zimeibiwa, hizo match fixing.
Wow, okay.
It's such a big business. Ukienda Twitter unaona watu kwa advertise, join my group, I sell match fixing odds. Like it's become so rampant. And then you hear the way people talk it. Hata kwa group zetu za ball.
Yeah.
Unasikia tu akijiita investors. No, mimi ndo mtu, what are you investing?
Gambling is not an investment.
Alafu in 2 weeks tutamwambia jamaa jo leo kumekuwa hard rent, mnichangie kitu. Na juzi ulikuwa unajiita investor.
But gambling is not investing. Hapa Washeke anatuambia gambling has become the second social issue after illicit brews in rural Kenya. And then gambling is worse than alcohol. Stephen JJ anasema they are doing that because Kenyans now are no longer betting kwa hizo upuzi za Kenya. Most states are now allowing gambling. And then hapa anasema you think you can always get it back, but you just keep losing. Afro Jamaican anasema I play lotto and drink Appleton, but only one on the weekend. And then hapa Mike alikuwa anaongea juu ya Malakul Maut, sijui ilikuwa ni part of the conversation that we're talking about.
It was about you. And
And then
And Vegas.
Steven JJ anasema Kenyans, let me see what other comment. Steven JJ anasema I was big time ati I know sports mpaka una bet games za Russia na ujui Russian soccer. And then Washeke anasema vernacular radio stations has contributed to the proliferation of gambling, which is very true. Oh yes. Yes, watu wameingia mambo ya gambling mbaya sana.
That's like the only commercial ambayo almost everybody anaweza. This is aina nini, it's just guy.
And it's easy, they make it so easy to bet.
Wanakwambia tu shilingi 1,000 unapata milioni.
Yeah. Alafu hiyo kameme ni mbaya, wanaanza kana shamba zile tunajua watu wanapenda. Unashinda shamba, wanatoka kwa shamba zikapika hapa na pata sijui nini. Robo guda sijui nini.
So
mzima tu mnaingizwa tu so mia.
Mika alikuwa wapi akiwa Kenya? We might need to check his blood. Nini?
Kuna kameme.
Mika kumbe ni fan wa kameme.
No, Mika was somewhere where kameme was hot.
Ama maybe Mika was with a fan of kameme. So akakaa akisikiza kameme the whole day.
No, wacha nikwambie, nilikuwa nimeenda kunyolewa. Sasa nimenyolewa, wochi hapo nje. Tuko kwa kinyozi tunasikiza ngoma, wochi hapo nje kuna ka pocket radio. Ile time ya unajua duration ya kunyolewa. Ile duration ya kunyolewa nimalize kunyolewa.
Yeah.
Zile gambling ads nilisikia wochi amesikia. Alafu wochi amekuja mwongea jamaa wa kinyozi anambia sasa niaje sasa hii. Jua mbona nimeingia, nimemlipa. Na sasa ikale kaso tulikuwa tumeongea unajua hata kuwekelea hapa.
And he has the app ready made on his phone.
Yes, kuna za text hata. Kuna zingine za text. You don't even need data.
No.
You don't even need data.
How do you send money with text?
No, but M-Pesa unatumana text.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
M-Pesa unatumana text. Yeah, so hivyo vile unatuma M-Pesa ndio hivyo unaweza kuingia na ukabet, na hii kitu imeleta problems nyingi sana. So I think maybe let's look at that as a good thing, you know, like getting a higher tax on gaming and betting and all, because this thing has become so problematic.
So rafiki yake Slay anasema na rafiki yake ndo ana host hizo shows za betting. Hey, mwambie aache.
Huyo Slay tutakuja kuongea naye. So are these guys saying, and I don't know if it's done or not, so for the betting companies, are they required, like they do here, to put money aside for folks who are
easy education and
no, folks who have now become addicted, right?
I think there's a requirement. I don't know. I don't know if there's those things are there in Kenya, but I think we're now required to put disclaimers.
But the disclaimers are not going to help someone who is addicted.
Yeah.
You know those things are not even here in America. Those things right now where gambling companies are being told to give back money for the mental health awareness and treatment. Iko UK.
Okay.
Hao ndo walianza using their gambling huko Europe. So hao ndo sahi wamefika. It's so bad for them to a point whereby right now, kwanza vile when they went online and people could gamble from their phones, it's gotten so bad right now that banks and gambling companies know if you've bet in one platform, Leo, you cannot bet in any other platform for 24 hours. Because people used to bet to kuweka kadi kwa platform different, alafu they bet everywhere. So right now, in a place, if you bet a certain amount, unafaa kwenda counseling, they send you, and the betting companies are doing that. Now in Kenya, pali imefika tu ni pali government imegundua betting company is good for money. Wanakula tu pesa yao.
Pata buroti maguta.
So you'll be still waiting for whereby betting companies will wacha vile sahi wana sponsor nearly everything in sport. They're going to sponsor everything and take over and run it the way they want it. Then ndo tufikia hapo pale tuseme tu sisi sasa tuko na shida ya kichwa, tupeni pesa ya kwenda kwa daktari.
10 years
Yeah.
down the road tutakuwa
Yeah,
na
I know.
society mbovu sana.
I know, you know, na hii ni kitu ambayo watu hawajakaa wakafikiria na wakazingatia, wanaona tu hiyo pesa inakuja.
Sasa hivi tuko na society ambayo inataka faida, haijui mtaji.
Kabisa.
Anataka tu akae anavuna.
Ama vile ulikuwa unasema zamani bandio, mtu anataka kwenda peponi lakini hataki kufa kwanza. Anataka kwenda tu direct peponi.
So Mungu Airways, she's not part of that.
No, mtu anataka kwenda heaven lakini hataki kufa kwanza.
Anataka enda na Mungu Airways?
Anataka kwenda direct. Anataka kuteleport. Hataki kupanda Mungu Airways. You know, aende hataki kutana na malakul maut.
Hapana, huyo unajua one mic akimkuta.
Hataki kutana na malakul maut, anataka kwenda straight peponi kule. You know, akafanya mambo ya kule peponi. And then now another good thing is that tax refunds. I did not know this, that the government was allowed in Kenya, they could take up to 2 years to issue a tax refund. Yes, now that has been reduced to 6 months in this new bill.
Okay.
Yeah, they were allowed up to 2 years. I did not know that. You could wait up to 2 years to get your tax refund. They were legally allowed to
Which means they were using your money like a nonsense.
Of course. Yeah, but now that has been reduced to 6 months. So hapa vile watu nalialia, atumefile taxes, atunambiwa ngoja 3 to 5 business days. Unaanza kulia, there are people in Kenya who are waiting for up to 2 years. You know, for their tax refunds.
But Sibadio by then would have got our AR-57. Sijui, I don't know what that gun is called or what.
Hizo hapo hata tusi.
Hapo kuna tofauti ya system
na shit stem.
Okay. Yeah, so hii hapa reduce to 6 months, meaning they know that it's possible. But hivyo wamekuwa kikalisha za watu wengine zinakaa mpaka 2 years. Na unajua hiyo 2 years pesa zako zikikaa, unajua what's happening, wanakula riba hapo.
Wanakupa na interest?
No. You're just given what you're owed.
No, hakuna.
But they are allowed, but they will keep your money and hiyo pesa yako itazaa.
Hata hapa Marekani, ikiwa wewe una deni ya IRS wanakucharge riba. Lakini kama wao na deni yako wanakupa taslim. Yes. Biashara haramu ile pale wanafanya.
Yes, it sure is.
And that's why watu wa tax watu hawapendi.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It's haramu 101.
Yes. Na najua kitu kingine ambacho pia kimeharamishwa Uislamu, riba. Wanawaambia nyote mwe Waislamu. Ama si lazima mwe Waislamu, mfuate mafunzo.
Kama sisi tu. I'm a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Buddha, Jawa, Rastafari. I'm everyone in one.
Okay.
Umesema wewe ni ile na kufasa hiyo.
It depends on which hat he's wearing.
Inategemea ni siku gani.
But even though is that how a human being is supposed to be? Like you're told don't be a nice guy but be a good guy.
Yeah.
Be like don't be a nice man. Don't be a nice guy but be a good man. Like no, like in life you're supposed to be able, like if you're supposed to adapt a certain persona on a circumstance, you adapt it. Badala ya kukuwa mtu mzuri nitakufurahisha vitu na watu and then unaumia na juu au kuface hiyo kitu unafaa kuiface. So yeah, kama unafaa kuna mahali Uislamu itakusaidia, ti Uislamu. Kifika mahali kukuwa Buddhist, kuwa Buddhist.
Yep.
Okay, na hapa Slay anasema hii maneno ya kuchanga tununue Powerball at work tuachane nayo.
And you know what's interesting? Everybody seems to think it is okay.
Yeah, it's very okay.
And I'm like, yo, come on, people. I came to work. I didn't come over here. This is nini. Why? What is this?
Because you see, gambling inaanza hivyo pole pole. You start with those small ones. Nobody starts wagering, you know, like a large amount. But watu wanaanzaga hivyo pole pole. Shilingi 100, shilingi 500, 1000, 10,000. Then kidogo sasa ndo unaanza kuraid savings za mke wako, unaanza kuraid savings za family.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have actually, and now you see what Mika was talking about how powerful the effects of gambling is.
Yeah.
I have seen that in action. And for somebody who was very responsible, cool, level-headed, and had it together.
Yeah.
Mpaka ata vile ataeka petroli kwa gari yake kwenda kazini. Imemshinda.
Yeah.
Ikafika point ambapo sasa mtoto wake ndio sana mpangia hela zake. Vile zina, in fact the minute they drop in, mtoto wake ndio sasa anaangalia and make sure that things are distributed, because huyu ashaenda wapi? Casino.
Yeah.
Ashaenda direct na hiyo kadi vile Mika alikuwa anasema yuko hivi shwa.
Yeah.
Na alitoa hela akaenda nazo. Hizo hela zikaenda within like 6.8 minutes. Sasa amerudi kwa kadi. Na hii kadi you just paid it na hizi hela ziliingia. So whatever was just paid gone. And again, school, this is the same day. Then funnily enough akiwa umo hana hela la kuweka petroli. Kurudi nyumbani.
Yeah.
And it's a good 50-minute drive kutoka kwake.
Alafu unapigwa unavunjwa mguu, unachapwa.
And I'm like, how did this person get here? But for some people, I believe that in this person's case, I think that they were crying for help in another area.
No,
and they found, no, hold on. I know why. I know why I'm saying that, because there's other circumstances on the back end. For this person, I don't know about other people. Nasema tu kwa huyu mtu, this was a cry for help, and wakapata gambling ndio inawasaidia kulia, or it's their comfort zone. Because no one is paying attention on the other side where they need the help. I don't know if that's making sense.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But gambling iko vile iko, and do you know why as human beings become easily addicted to things? Is kwa sababu we tend to look for happiness in shortcuts in happiness, right?
Shortcuts.
And
shortcuts is the key word.
Yeah, tunatafutanga raha na like shortcut ya kupata raha, hatutaki kuput in the work to look for happiness.
Na ndio maana naambia kila raha,
if you do something so much and you perfect it, you and you love it, we perfect, itakupatia raha, but si utaka kufanya vitu haraka. And which hormone is associated with happiness? Dopamine, right?
Dopamine.
And hakuna kitu itakupatia dopamine haraka kama gambling. Kwa sababu you feel like niko make it system.
Yeah.
Nimetoa so, nimeshika 10,000. Right? You'll always continue chasing that high. Right? It's the same thing with mtu mwenye si mlevi. Siku ya kwanza za kunywa pombe anacheka anasikia vizuri. Ataenda kutafuta hiyo feeling tena.
I think Ali tunafaa kwenda kutafuta hiyo feeling. Ati tutapata dopamine.
But unajua, I think also humanity has got to a point whereby
we like chasing highs,
where people are chasing highs, and then spirituality ni kama imefifia. Ni kama watu hata wale ambao wanamwamini Mwenyezi Mungu, ni kama wako tu, sasa sijui kama ni failure ya system zetu za kidini ama institutions zetu za kidini, like these are the ones that should have come.
Uko tu kwenye dini watu wanakwenda kutafuta miracles. Mafuta.
Watu wanauawa, wanaambiwa wafunge for 40 days.
Utaenda kumwona Yesu.
Unaambiwa ufunge 40 days 40 nights. Sasa unaona
mkiambiwa siji leteni siji bahasha tuombe mara hiyo.
Bahasha. Yep. Wacheka anasema it's because we look for satisfaction outwards instead of inwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Na I think kufikia hapo ndo pale
leo. Lakini kuna alizungumza I think ni mtoto gani Robert Mall alisema kwamba tunaangalia sana religion which is more of rules and regulations badala ya kuangalia faith
and spirituality.
Na ukiangalia sasa the reality is faith and spirituality, hata ukiangalia dini zote hata kabla ya kuja kwa dini. Mambo tunatofautiana kidogo sana. Na ndio maana nasema ukiangalia kule utakuta sasa hivi watu wengi sana wamejikita kwenye religion instead of faith, na hiyo ni changamoto. Nafikiri tunatakiwa wakae sasa hivi uangalie. Baki na imani. Kama nilivyomwambia hapo, Slam auliza ni nani? I'm a Christian, Hindu, Muslim, I'm a Jew, Buddha and Rastaman because I'm everyone in one. I'm just being faithful. I'm not religious.
Okay. And with that said,
this is from the choir master. Unajua jamaa ndio pale anafanya nini zile.
Ninapokuwa pale I'm a Christian.
Oh, sorry.
Sawa na nikienda kule nikiingia huko I'm everyone in one. Sintafutia moshi.
Chochote kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga.
Kwani yuko wapi leo?
Ako na nanga.
Yenye nimegundua mbona alia anaharakisha. Lakers wako karibu kwanza kucheza.
Ako na nanga. Ako na nanga.
Imagine Mika. Imagine tuko na fan wa Lakers ambaye pia ni fan wa Arsenal. Heaven help us.
So says watu wa Harry Maguire. So says watu wa Harry Maguire.
Lakini, you know, we can say those sorts of things about pretty much every team. There is always a Maguire. Lakini
There's always a Maguire lacking somewhere.
Yes.
Hey, okay. Hey, mazee Lakers.
Hawa jamaa mwaka mzima wametuambia hapa vile wanashinda.
League bado haijaisha.
Yeah. Ati when is the derby?
League bado haijaisha.
Sisi kama unajua bado try post we are the champions kwa social media zako.
Okay. Na hapa Don Omar anatuambia Miami wameshinda. So yeah. So the matchup, the finals matchup will be very interesting because Miami sasa
Oh shit, Miami took game 6.
Yeah, you know, Boston.
Yeah, Miami wameshinda sasa.
Hiyo Miami series imeisha ama iko 3-3 sasa?
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Miami wameshinda.
Yeah. So go ahead 3-2.
3-1. Then these guys came 3-2.
Yeah, they
so
came up 3-2. Okay, so it's a wrap. You know, na alafu Denver Nuggets, you know, like wao pia wako tayari wamefika Western Conference Finals. So, yeah.
They won last night?
They won last night.
And it was a wrap?
Yeah, it was a wrap like Troy Teach. Yeah.
That game I was
Yeah, it was a wrap. It was a wrap like Troy Teach. They won it in the first half. First half scores were 81-51. Mimi nilienda zangu kulala because game ilikuwa imeisha hapo. Yeah, first half 81-51.
81.
Yes, 81-51.
Yeah, ila game 6 walipoteza kijiji.
Yeah, but sasa hii game ya leo, I mean, I think the pressure is on the Lakers side. We really need to win this game because kama tutenda game 7 Golden State home court. I don't know.
Watatufunga huko kwao again.
Hiyo itakuwa ni
Davis yuko tunashinda.
Sasa hivi leo ni game 1.
Leo ni game 6. Lakers were ahead 3-2.
But it's win or go home.
Yeah, no, it's win or go home for Golden State.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis yuko.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so let's just wait. Let's just wait and see.
Alafu nileka wa Arsenal.
Okay, sawa. So
anyway tumalize. Anyway mimi nilikuwa nataka kusema hivi.
Twende Mika.
Hata sijui. Urejesho imekuwa random. Anyway, I just want to thank the listeners for joining us and for a random show. Jamaa wetu alituhepa, I think bado ana hangover ya Friday. Friday was a good day though.
Kwani alikunywa nini?
Uliza Mika alikuwa anapeana nini?
Mika uliwapa brownies ya form ya liquid.
Walilewa na chakula hawa.
Mzee, wacha kwanza
chakula.
Mika alitupeleka sehemu nyingine. Yaani mimi hata sikujua kuna chakula kama hizo hapo. Hiyo cuisine ilikuwa ni gani Mika?
Is it
Vietnamese?
Vietnamese.
Oh, pho and stuff, huh?
Well, it wasn't pho. That's the interesting about it.
Okay.
There was nothing for about this food.
That was like a 6-course meal because vitu vilikuwa vinaletwa tu.
Zinakuja na kikuja. In fact, the main course was not as good as the things we ate before the main course.
I know. Walileta mpaka ilikuwa inaitwaje ile beef ya kuanguka, ile wagyu beef. Wagyu beef.
Tulienda Korea.
Mzee tulikula wagyu beef. Tukakula.
So it was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Some of us had to pack huko 1968.
Tulikaa mpaka restaurant imefungwa lakini si hatutoki.
It was 3
si tuko hapo
good hours ya kukula.
It was really nice Mika. You know.
It was a good show.
Happy 30th birthday.
Yes.
Mika, birthday yako nyingine mwaka huu ni lini?
Mimi siogopi kusema miaka.
I know, yani
nimefika ile tuaje ile 40.
Okay. Kwa hivyo umebalege sasa. Ushabalege.
Bado lazima nafika next week on Friday.
He's an old guy.
Okay.
So bado niko 19.
He's an old guy.
Okay.
I'm still 39, but yeah, next week on Friday I'm turning 40.
He's an old guy who rents cars to impress.
I want to thank these guys for agreeing to close the show and joining me. It was very good. And wale listeners wenye walikuwa huko na wale walituma wishes, thank you very much. And just want to tell people again, it's graduation season. I
Yes, it
know
sure is.
we are enjoying and celebrating our people, but remember, don't drink and drive. And let's just be responsible and take care of each other. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right.
You too, Mikasi. Asante, asante, asante. Thank you to all our listeners, to our new, should I say, our new station brother from Jamaica, Kingston, Nafri Spekagwan. So, yes, we will help you as much as we can help you. And hopefully in all of this, we learn something as well about the loopholes or what is actually in place. Maybe we just don't know what's in place because nobody's actually advertising to help you with the problem you're having with trying to pay the taxes as a foreigner. Very interesting. With that said, also to our fans who are here with us on YouTube, near generational, I got you. Reach out to me. I see the issue that you have. I think we can resolve this issue of yours. It may be a little bit tough, but we can find a solution. And to our fans, thank you. You know who you are, our fan family, our new fans, our old fans, our sometimes fans, and the fans that are going to be fanning us. Thank you. And have a good week. Hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones. Peace.
Hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones.
Have their hug ones.
Yes. Okay.
Mnahitaji day off every other show. Maana kila mtu amekuja a little bit wiser.
Maybe
right.
it's hanging around Mika and
By
osmosis.
the way, maybe next Friday I'm upset with apology.
Angalia tayari sasa umempatia mtu idea.
Hiyo sio 48 hours.
Si idea hii yangu mlipata.
So what is this, 48 hours?
I will not.
Anaambia
not be
Wednesday
here.
ametoa Friday.
Okay. Haya, sawa. Okay, sawa.
No,
And
but atakuwa wapi kwa sababu maybe we need to find out.
maybe we need to be there too.
Maybe it's Madaraka, Madaraka celebrations that he's going to in New
Anarudi
York.
kule kwenye Vietnamese
Yeah.
cuisine.
Maybe anarudi huko na huko
No, nafikiri yuko kwa hiyo concert ya Madaraka ndio pale.
Madaraka Festival.
Yes, Madaraka Festival.
Okay.
I think
Kama
that's what
kama
he's doing.
uko Madaraka Festival, wewe tuambie, si tutakuja na tutalipa, tutaingia tu. Anyway, Washeke hapa anatukumbusha Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Washeke happy that's coming up this Sunday.
Yes, it is. To all the mothers,
Day,
happy
to
Mother's
all the
Day.
mothers, Happy Mother's Day. But Mother's Day should be every day. Every day, if you can even do as little as just text your mother. Hata kama yuko karibu, unamwambia tu, unamsalimia tu,
Some
unaendelea
mothers
vipi na
asumbua,
nini.
man. Some mothers
Yeah.
asumbua.
So that's very
Hata kama
important.
anasumbua.
Yes.
Sawa Mika.
If
Okay.
you
Kuna watu wengine kuna watu wengine hapa tunatamani
Munatamani huyo mtu. I get you.
No, I know, I understand. If you have your mother around, you
Yes.
know, like there are
honor
people.
her. Honor her every day that you can.
Yes, there are people who wish that
They
they could
had
have
that,
their mothers
yes.
around, but they don't. So
Yes.
yes, so it's very important to
Sure is.
to honor your mother. And then the other thing is that sometimes things that people look at as, oh, kama wazazi wangu wangenilea hivi, labda ningekuwa hivi, ama kujaribu kutoa makosa wazazi. Kumbuka pia wewe ni mzazi na unaambiwa ustukane ukunga
Uzazi ungalipo.
na uzazi ungalipo. So be very careful when you criticize your parents.
Correct.
Mika.
Kitu moja Musema Ali,
Yeah.
as a parent who's actually raised somebody in this world until I'm 18. Hakuna mtu juu uzazi, ni kuguess. Hata wewe una guess.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no real book about it.
Uh-huh.
And when you think you know it,
and trust me, you're thinking you're doing the best, but these kids are going to a different world than what you're thinking you're teaching them to go in.
Absolutely.
Our parents, how they raise us is not how we're living right now.
that's
Absolutely.
true. That is true.
Absolutely.
So it's just a journey you're discovering on yourself. Have grace on those people, and then remember, wherever at least will raise you are softer than how your parents were raised.
Yeah.
So them, they're providing for you and trying to raise you. Pia walikuwa wanataka kuadapt. So wao walikupatia, at least ulianza life yako better than vile walianza life zao. So the best thing you can do is just give your kids to have a better chance to start their life better than you start.
Exactly.
Stop complaining. Give grace to those people. They did the best they could do.
They did the best they could do. And another thing you also need to remember as a parent, to be empathetic to your parents and also to your kids. There are no two kids who are alike. No two kids. Wanaweza kuwa hata ni mapacha, but kila mtu kuna personality yake unique
Tofauti, yeah.
ako nayo. You know, so that's why we have to give empathy to our parents. They did the best where they could. And remember, anytime you criticize your parents, remember that you also have a child who will do exactly the same thing to you when you're assuming that you did the best. And kama vile tu Mika alisema, sometimes, you know, like as a parent, you know, like you come across things, you know, like ni guesswork. Sometimes you come across a situation, you don't know how to deal with it. You may read a book or this is what you need to do to a kid when they're like
Slay
this.
anasema hakuna manual.
Yes, hakuna manual.
Ala?
Yeah.
Slay doesn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
Vile yeye anakaa ni mtu wa kutoa nyororo.
No, hakuna manual. You know, like you just figure out things as you go.
That is true.
And that's why you also have to try to not be critical to other parents, because they're also dealing with different things. I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. I want to thank Afro-Jamaican. Afro-Jamaican, you've earned your Friday. We will find a Friday where we'll come and have conversations about a foreign investor investing in Kenya and your experiences,
Trials
which I
and
think
tribulations.
will be very valuable information. And we appreciate you for staying emotionally connected in Kenya despite the challenges that that you've experienced. I want to thank all those who tuned in, all the listeners, all the ones who commented. Na kwa wale ambao wanataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu haijabadilika, bado ni ile ile. The number is 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
All right. Thank you wote ambao mmekuwa nasi leo. One Mic Show. Actually na wasikilizaji wawili wapya. Tun Lugombe kutoka Mbande, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Karibu.
Karibu
pia
sana.
tulikuwa na Teresia Alfred kutoka Arusha. Yeah.
Karibu.
Hiyo yote ni
Wow,
timu,
they
kwa hiyo,
stayed up.
Karibu.
Yeah, wako mpaka sasa hivi. Kwa
Unajua
hiyo,
Arusha wale ni watu wetu tu.
Yeah,
Wale unajua
Arusha.
ni wa Kenya tu. Yaani ni
Okay.
kidogo tu ilibaki. Lakini
ni
kawa
kama nyinyi ambavyo ni wa Somali pia.
Eh?
Kidogo tu ilibaki.
hapana, hawa Somali ni wetu.
Kwa wote ni wenu.
Eh.
Happy Mother's Day kwa kila mmoja. Asante sana kwa kuwa nami. One Mic, shukrani sana. Kukaa hapa kwangu mimi ni heshima. Unasema mtu ukipiga simu operator akifanyaje?
Operator akishika simu,
Mwambie
unataka kusema na mjukuu.
na akikuuliza,
Ni mjukuu yupi?
mwambie anaitwa Mubelwa Twin kama Simon Kulinda Peter Bandio mwana wa Paulina baba Paulina. Kwenye reggae wananiita Ras Twin, Ras si ama Rasta, ni a real African soldier. Kama na Twin si mapacha, japo wanafuatao ni mapacha. Hadi wakati mwingine nakwambia barikiwa. Omosh. Tunde tukamalize hapo.
Of course. And to our YouTube fans, asanteni.
Asante sana
sana.
YouTube. Tunakwenda kukata sasa na wakati Omosh anakwenda kuspin. Hadi wakati mwingine tena next week, si ndio?
Next week.
Next week.
Same time, same place, but